The divine sword is invincible. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 76. Zyroshan finally comprehended the 100 swords. Yang Zyroshan looked at Lin Yang, who was bowing and smiling. Lin Yang, right? Lin Yang was flattered to hear Yang Zyroshan calling him by his name, and hurriedly said, "I'm Lin Yang. I met young Master Yang at the City Lord's birthday banquet a few days ago, and Lin Yang was amazed by his beauty. I didn't expect to see you here again today." Then he asked tentatively, "Young Master, are you here to do some work at the Urban Construction Bureau today?" "Yes, I'm doing some work." Yang Zyroshan looked at Lin Chang. "Is this your brother Lin Chang?" When Lin Yang heard this, he hurriedly said, "Yes, it's my brother." Then he said to Lin Chang, who was standing beside him, "Lin Chang, why don't you come over and meet young Master Yang?" Then he said, "Young Master Yang is the elder of the Sword Hall of the Divine Sword Academy." The elder of the Sword Hall. When Lin Chang heard this, he was shocked. He immediately knew who the child in front of him was. Yang Zyroshan, the elder of the Sword Hall of the Divine Sword Academy. Yang Shen, who comprehended 10 swords in one day. Yang Zyroshan is now in the Divine Sword City, and he is at the peak of his career. His reputation and prestige are so high that he almost overshadows anyone else. Lin Chang greets Master Yang. Lin Chang stepped forward and said respectfully. He had not seen Yang Zyroshan in the office just now, so he did not know that Yang Zyroshan was the 8-year-old kid he had just closed the door to. As for the young man from the Urban Construction Bureau, when he heard that the kid in front of him was Yang Zyroshan, his legs went weak, and he could not stand steadily. Yang Zyroshan looked at Lin Chang in front of him and said, "Director Lin Chang is of a respected status. How dare I ask you to salute me?" Lin Chang and Lin Yang's faces changed when they heard that Yang Zyroshan's tone was wrong. Yang Zyroshan said to Lin Chang, "Lin Chang, I want to ask, the house I bought a few days ago was legally processed. I want to demolish the partition wall, but you let people obstruct me in every way. What does that mean?" At this point, he asked up to show Lin Chang the legal documents. Lin Chang took the documents and looked at them. He said with a chuckle, "Young Master Yang, I. Just as Lin Yang was about to speak, Yang Zyroshan said, "You want money? I'll give it to you. If 100 gold is not enough, I'll give you 700 gold the second time. After giving 700 gold, I'll increase it to 3,100 gold. I just came to see Director Lin Chang. Your subordinates said that you were not here, so they asked me to send the money as soon as possible. Otherwise they would have to raise the price again. I would like to ask Director Lin Chang, when do you mean, as soon as possible?" Yang Zyroshan's tone was calm and his face was calm. But Lin Chang's heart beat wildly, and his face turned pale. At this time, he finally knew who Yang Zyroshan was. He also finally knew why Yang Zyroshan's tone was not right. And Lin Yang's face was also ugly. His younger brother, a blind man, actually got the oil and water from Yang Zyroshan. And 100 gold is not enough. 700 gold is still not enough. He actually wanted 3,100 gold. He was so angry that he trembled and suddenly slapped Lin Chang, causing him to stagger. He roared, "You blind bastard." Lin Chang was slapped and dizzy. The young man from the Urban Construction Bureau was frightened by Lin Yang's slap and fell to the ground. Lin Chang cried, "Brother, I didn't know it was young Master Yang. I really didn't know. God and heaven are his conscience. He really didn't know. If he knew, how dare he provoke Yang Zyroshan?" Yang Zyroshan is the evil god who dared to kick away even the 4th Princess Cheng Bibi. And he kicked him twice in a row. Each time was heavier than the last. He is a small director of the Urban Construction Bureau, and he is nothing. He wanted to cry, but had no tears. He also asked people to inquire about it, saying that the person who bought the house was an outsider who had just moved into Shenzhen City. Who knew it was Yang Zyroshan, the evil god. After Lin Yang slapped his brother Lin Chang, he immediately clasped his fists to Yang Zyroshan, apologetically, and said in panic, "Young Master Yang, my brother is blind. Don't worry, I will punish him and give you an explanation." To put it nicely, he is a chief steward of the city lord's mansion, and to put it bluntly, he is just a servant under Pengzagon. If the city lord Pengzagon knew about this, and knew that his brother actually exploited Yang Ocean, he would probably skin him and his brother. You don't need to explain to me. Yang Ocean shook his head, and didn't stay any longer. He left with 8 Ali and the others. Lin Yang and Lin Chang sent Yang Ocean to the outside of the Urban Construction Bureau. Looking at Yang Ocean's figure going away, Lin Yang suddenly cried and said, "It's over. I've worked hard for many years, and everything is over." Seeing Lin Yang's appearance, Lin Chang said timidly, "Brother, it can't be that serious, right?" Lin Yang laughed angrily, "It's not that serious. The city lord will definitely know about this. The city lord values Yang Ocean very much, and believes that Yang Ocean will definitely be the #1 master of our Shenhe kingdom in 10 years. If he knew that you dared to exploit Yang Ocean, what do you think he would do to you? Removing you is the lightest punishment. If he thinks that I condoned you to do this, I'm afraid he would even peel off my skin layer by layer." Lin Chang collapsed on the ground in fear. After Yang Ocean came back, he asked Lao Kun, Zhang Jinggrang and the other 5 to purchase medicinal materials for refining the 4 elephants elixir, and at the same time, asked the 5 to buy another 110 slaves at the peak of the 10th level of the acquired realm. In addition, let Art and the other to speed up the transformation of the 3 houses. Afterwards, Yang Ocean came to the 100 Swords Square to comprehend the stone sword. When the teachers and students at the 100 Swords Square saw Yang Ocean coming, they immediately shouted, "God Yang!" The sound waves rose again. In the past few days, every time Yang Ocean came, the students would shout "God Yang." This has become a habit. Yang Ocean nodded and smiled at everyone, then came to the 89th stone sword, and began to comprehend. The next 2 days were the same. Soon, it was the 3rd day. When the night was getting dark, Yang Ocean finished comprehending the 100th stone sword. Suddenly, the sword energy of the 100 swords was released at the same time, and the sword energy of the other stone swords in the 100 Swords Square rushed to the sky at the same time. The light of the sword energy illuminated the entire Divine Sword City. The wonder of the 100 swords firing at the same time shocked all the teachers and students in the Divine Sword City. They had seen the sword energy of the stone swords, but it was the first time for everyone to see the wonder of the 100 swords firing at the same time. No one expected that, after comprehending the 100 stone swords, the 100 swords would be fired at the same time. Because there was no record at all, Yang Ocean stood in front of the 100th stone sword, completely immersed in the world of swords, feeling the sword energy of the 100 swords. At this moment, he suddenly understood. The 100 stone swords, each set of sword techniques is not single, but connected to each other. The 100 sword techniques can be arranged into a 100 swords formation. The 100 swords formation is one of the strongest sword formations in the Divine Sword Academy, and one of the inheritances of the Sword Hall. Looking at the burst of the 100 sword energy, looking at Yang Ocean standing in the center of the sword energy, Lin Yang and Chen Yuan were very excited. Finally comprehended the 100 swords. Ocean finally comprehended the 100 swords. Especially Chen Yuan. He was even more excited and fortunate. Fortunate to have left Yang Ocean in the Divine Sword Academy. At this time, 5 figures broke through the air. They were the 5 elders of the Sword Hall, Chen Changqing, Hele, and Ren Fixu. The 5 people have not left the Sword Hall for many years, and now, all came to the 100 Swords Square. Chapter 77, The New Master of the Sword Palace. Chen Changqing, Hele, Ren Fixu and the other 5 came to the 100 Swords Square, and were equally shocked and excited when they saw the 100 swords key being released simultaneously. It had been hundreds of years. After hundreds of years, someone finally comprehended the 100 swords. It was worth their long wait. After hundreds of years, my sword hall finally has a new hall master. Hele suddenly felt like tears welled up in his eyes. Yes, hundreds of years. Chen Changqing sighed. In the city lord's mansion, Pengzagon and a group of masters from the city lord's mansion were equally shocked when they saw the 100 swords key over the Divine Sword Academy. The 100 swords key lasted for a long time before it slowly dissipated. After the 100 swords key dissipated, Chen Changqing took a deep breath and said to Hele and the others, "Let's go and pay our respects to the Hall Master. Pay our respects to the Hall Master." At this moment, Yang Ocean was the Hall Master of the Sword Hall of the Divine Sword Academy. Led by Chen Shanking, 5 people came to Yang Ocean and then bowed deeply. Chen Shanking, Hele, Ren Fixu, Emma Gao, Zhao Zhe, meet the master. The 5 people said in unison. The voice was not loud, but it shocked the teachers and students of the Divine Sword Academy. At this time, the teachers and students of the Divine Sword Academy realized that Yang Ocean was no longer the freshman they knew. Instead, he was the master of the Sword Hall of their Divine Sword Academy. Meet the master. Lin Yang and Chen Yuan also reacted and came over to salute. Meet the master. All the teachers and students of the academy bowed deeply. Yang Ocean glanced at everyone, nodded, and then said to Chen Shanking and the other 5, "Elder Chen, let's go to the Sword Hall. Using the Thunder Tribulation Divine Fire to refine medicine is really too tiring, and it is exhausting every time. If he subdues the 9 Phoenix Golden Flame and uses the 9 Phoenix Golden Flame to refine medicine, it won't be so tiring. And the 9 Phoenix Golden Flame can also refine top-grade elixirs." Chen Shanking and the other 5 knew that Yang Ocean was thinking about the 9 Phoenix Golden Flame. They looked at each other, hesitated, and finally nodded. So, the 5 of them took Yang Ocean to the Sword Hall again. Entering the Sword Hall, they saw that the Sword Hall was like a palace, with everything inside. There were not only practice rooms, but also martial arts training grounds, alchemy rooms, and sword pavilions. Inside the sword pavilion, there were all kinds of things related to swords. There were sword manuals, swords, and sword walls. After passing through the sword pavilion, it was the deepest part of the sword hall. In front of the deepest part of the sword hall, there was a square. Above the square, 9 golden phoenixes with flames all over their bodies were floating. This was the 9 Phoenix Golden Flame, which was ranked 9th on the Strange Fire list. Yang Ocean followed Chen Shanking and the other 5 to the square, and his eyes lit up when he saw the 9 Phoenix Golden Flame floating above the square. The 9 Phoenix Golden Flame. This shape is not bad. Palace Master, this 9 Phoenix Golden Flame is extremely overbearing and powerful. Even a martial emperor would find it difficult to get close to it. Why don't you come back to subdue it later? Chen Shanking couldn't help but say. He was worried about Yang Ocean. Their sword palace finally had a new palace master. If anything happened to them, because of the 9 Phoenix Golden Flame, they would be dead. No need. Yang Ocean knew that Chen Shanking and the other 5 were worried, and smiled and said, "Don't worry, the 9 Phoenix Golden Flame can't hurt me." Then he said, "You go out first." This. Chen Shanking and the other 5 hesitated. They were still worried. "You go out first. If I see something wrong, I will leave," Yang Ocean said to the 5 people. The 5 people responded and turned to leave. Yang Ocean looked at the 9 Phoenix Golden Flame above the square, took a step, and walked into the square. Sensing Yang Ocean's entry into the square, the 9 Phoenix Golden Flame that was hovering above the square suddenly made a phoenix cry, spread its golden wings, and pounced towards Yang Ocean. As the 9 Phoenix Golden Flame rushed over, the phoenix flames were like a raging sea of fire, sweeping across the entire square. The astonishing heat wave was about to engulf Yang Ocean, but suddenly, a beam of light flew out and enveloped Yang Ocean's entire body. The flames of the 9 Phoenix Golden Flame bombarded Yang Ocean, but were all blocked by the light. The light was emitted by the medicine cauldron. Yang Ocean smiled at the medicine cauldron and said, at the critical moment, it was still Uncle Ding who helped. The medicine cauldron said, "I have a hard life. From the beginning of the world to now, I have always been working for others." From the beginning of the world to now? Yang Ocean choked. Use the dragon art to trap the 9 Phoenix Golden Flame, the medicine cauldron said. Yang Ocean came back to his senses, and with his hands, 14 true dragon key flew out and entangled the 9 Phoenix Golden Flame. Bound by Yang Ocean's true dragon key, the 9 Phoenix Golden Flame rushed wildly. However, before, Yang Ocean trapped the Thunder Tribulation Divine Fire, and the Thunder Tribulation Divine Fire could not escape, let alone the 9 Phoenix Golden Flame. After more than an hour, the 9 Phoenix Golden Flame finally settled down. Yang Xiaoshan began to use the fire control technique, casting one fire rune after another, merging into the 9 Phoenix Golden Flame. More than an hour later, Chen Shanking, Healer, Ren Fixu and the other 5 were waiting outside. Seeing that Yang Xiaoshan had not come out for a long time, they became more and more worried. There has been no movement for so long. Should we go in and take a look? Healer said worriedly. But the palace master asked us to wait outside. Ren Fixu hesitated. It's already so late. If something happens to the palace master, how can we explain to our ancestors? Healer said anxiously. Let's go in and take a look. Chen Shanking pondered. Just as Chen Shanking and the other 5 were about to go in, they saw Yang Xiaoshan coming out. Chen Shanking and the other 5 were relieved to see that Yang Xiaoshan was safe and sound. It's good that the palace master is fine. We are just about to go in. Chen Shanking smiled and said, the palace master doesn't need to be discouraged. With your talent, you should be able to subdue the 9 Phoenix Golden Flame in 10 years. Yes, the palace master will definitely be able to subdue the 9 Phoenix Golden Flame in the future. He also said. Yang Xiaoshan smiled and then said, I'm going to go into the inner hall to take a look. You guys go ahead and do your work. You don't have to wait for me. The sword hall is divided into the outer hall and the inner hall. Only Yang Xiaoshan can enter the inner hall, and the inheritance of the sword hall is also in the inner hall. Chen Shanking and the other 5 responded. Yang Xiaoshan turned and walked towards the inner hall. After Yang Xiaoshan left, Chen Shanking and the other 5 walked to the square where the 9 Phoenix Golden Flame was trapped. However, when the 5 arrived, they were stunned by the empty square. Where did the 9 Phoenix Golden Flame go? He didn't react for a while and asked. After he finished speaking, he saw that Chen Shanking and the others were unusually quiet. He thought of something and said, could it be the palace master? Palace master, the conquest was successful. Chen Shanking said after a long time. The 9 Phoenix Golden Flame, 9th on the list of strange fires, could not be conquered even by the existence that surpassed the martial emperor, but was conquered by their palace master. Chapter 78, Death Sword Tomb. At this time, Yang Xiaoshan came to the door of the inner hall. The door of the inner hall was closed, and there were countless sword patterns on the door. Yang Xiaoshan observed it for a while, waved his hands, and shot out the sword energy of the 100th stone sword. Suddenly, the sword pattern surged, and the door of the inner hall slowly opened. When the door of the inner hall opened, a huge hall appeared in front of Yang Xiaoshan. The hall was thousands of square meters, and the floor was made of polished black ironstone. There was a large bookcase on the left wall, and all kinds of swords were hung on the right. Yang Xiaoshan went forward and looked through the books on the bookcase. There were sword secrets, skills, boxing manuals, and palm techniques, but the main ones were sword techniques. The lowest of these martial arts are innate top martial arts. Many are magical powers. However, only the strong in the martial king realm can practice magical powers. These sword techniques and magical powers are the secrets of the Divine Sword Academy. After casually flipping through these sword techniques and martial arts, Yang Xiaoshan came to the stone table in the upper left corner of the hall. On the stone table, there were several books. Yang Xiaoshan flipped through them and found that they were the handwritten notes of Kao Shun, the founder of the Divine Sword Academy. However, the content inside surprised and shocked Yang Xiaoshan, because the content of Kao Shun's notes was all related to the 10 great swords. He even mentioned the Tangshan sword and the Tangshan sword technique. In addition to the Tangshan sword, the other 9 great swords were also described. For example, the characteristics and power of the 10 great swords. Among them, the Sword of Eternal Night was described in the most detail. Because it was related to the 10 great swords, Yang Xiaoshan read it very carefully and did not miss any page. After Yang Xiaoshan finished reading, he closed the book and his heart was in turmoil. He did not expect Kao Shun to have such research on the 10 great swords. According to what he said, the Sword of Eternal Night, one of the 10 great swords, is very likely to be in the Death Sword Tomb. Death Sword Tomb. Yang Xiaoshan said to himself. The Death Sword Tomb is within the territory of the Dragon Empire. However, according to Kao Shun, the Death Sword Tomb is a place where swords are buried. It has buried countless sword masters and countless famous swords. But the Death Sword Tomb is extremely dangerous. No matter who enters the Death Sword tomb, they cannot come out alive. Anyway, everyone who enters has disappeared. For countless years, many people have entered the Death Sword tomb to find swords or peerless sword manuals with a fluke mentality, but without exception, no one can walk out of the sword tomb. Master Ding, are you sure about this Death Sword tomb? Yang Xiaoshan said. What Death Sword tomb? I haven't heard of it. Yao Ding said. However, no matter how dangerous it is, it can't be as dangerous as the Abyss of Sin. Let's go there, if we have a chance. Although he didn't know what the Abyss of Sin Yao Ding was talking about, Yang Xiaoshan had a clue after hearing Yao Ding say that. The Death Sword tomb can be visited later. Coming out of the inner hall, Yang Xiaoshan met Chen Changqing, Heela and the other 5. The 5 people met Yang Xiaoshan again with mixed feelings. Strange fire is rare. No matter who can subdue it, it is a great thing. If you can subdue the top 100 of the list of strange fires, it will definitely shock all the countries. Not to mention subduing the top 10 of the list of strange fires. If you can subdue the top 10 of the list of strange fires, you will definitely be a big boss among big bosses. Palace Master, how about you live in the Sword Palace in the future? Chen Changqing said to Yang Xiaoshan. Now that Yang Xiaoshan is the master of the Sword Palace, he has to consider Yang Xiaoshan's safety. No need. Yang Xiaoshan shook his head. Now that Luo King has broken through the Wuzang, the protective force around him is not weak. Of course, with his current strength, it is not so easy for others to kill him. After hearing this, Chen Changqing did not dare to force Yang Xiaoshan, and said, how about we follow the palace master in the future? Later, Yang Xiaoshan smiled. Although he did not know the true strength of Chen Changqing and the other 5, as the elders of the Sword Palace, the 5 of them were definitely not weak. In the future, when facing the Tuoluo sect, it will be inevitable that the 5 of them will take action. Suddenly, Yang Xiaoshan asked Chen Changqing, Elder Chen, do you know the news of other strange fires? He naturally doesn't like too many strange fires and divine fires. The more the better. Although Chen Changqing studies strange fires, he may know the location of other strange fires. Chen Changqing was stunned and said, I know, but Palace Master, strange fires repel each other. Almost no one can control 2 strange fires at the same time. The power of each strange fire is different, and they repel each other. If 2 strange fires are taken into the body at the same time, it is extremely dangerous. Once the 2 strange fires go out of control, they will be counterattacked by the strange fires. At the least, the meridians will be destroyed, the Danshan will be damaged, and at the worst, death will occur. Yang Xiaoshan smiled and said, it's okay. If I can't control it, I won't force it. Chen Changqing hesitated for a while, and finally told Yang Xiaoshan the location of the other 3 strange fires. Yang Xiaoshan was overjoyed to know the location of the 3 more strange fires. It is difficult for others to control 2 strange fires, but he has the medicine cauldron. He has the dragon beginning art, and the fire control art, so he is not worried about this problem. Yang Xiaoshan left the sword hall, but when he came to the outer courtyard, he met Hu Crossing, Cheng Bibi, and Yang Zhang. Yang Xiaoshan. Cheng Bibi gritted her teeth and her eyes were blazing when she saw Yang Xiaoshan again. Yang Xiaoshan's kick at the birthday banquet hurt her for several days. Hu Crossing and Yang Zhang had different reactions when they saw Yang Xiaoshan. Hu Crossing was jealous and murderous, while Yang Zhang looked at Yang Xiaoshan with a little more fear. Yang Xiaoshan looked at Cheng Bibi who was gritting her teeth and said indifferently, I'm now the master of the sword hall. According to the rules of the academy, you need to salute me when you see me. What did you say? Let me salute you? Cheng Bibi screamed like a cat whose tail was stepped on. Hu Crossing hesitated for a moment, bowed and said, meet the master. Meet the master. Yang Zhang's voice was a little trembling. Cheng Bibi still stared at Yang Xiaoshan with fiery eyes. She was a princess of a country, and she didn't believe that Yang Xiaoshan would dare to do anything to her. Has the injury from the kick at the birthday banquet healed? Yang Xiaoshan looked at Cheng Bibi and suddenly asked. Hearing Yang Xiaoshan mention the kick at the birthday banquet, thinking of the scene where she was kicked away by Yang Xiaoshan at the birthday banquet, Cheng Bibi was furious and drew out a sword. Hu Crossing was so scared that he quickly stopped Cheng Bibi. The first 2 times Cheng Bibi drew her sword, Yang Xiaoshan's kicks were heavier than the last. If Cheng Bibei was kicked away again this time, who knows what would happen. Who crossing? Yang Xiaoshan suddenly said. Deng Yi was sent by you before, right? When Wu Crossing heard this, his eyes flashed with panic, and he said, Palace Master, I don't understand what you are saying. Yang Xiaoshan didn't say much, and left directly. When he passed by Yang Zhang, he said, take care of yourself. Yang Zhang didn't dare to look at Yang Xiaoshan. After Yang Xiaoshan left, Cheng Bibei looked at the direction where Yang Xiaoshan left and said angrily, I will return to the royal city in a few days and report to my father, asking him to kill that little dog Yang Xiaoshan. Chapter 79, Practicing the 100 Swords. After Yang Xiaoshan left, Wu Crossing said to Yang Zhang, Yang Zhang, Yang Xiaoshan kicked the princess, which is a great rebellion. For such a traitor, you should ask your grandfather to kick him out of the family tree. Kick him out of the family tree. Yang Zhang said with a chuckle. Yes, ask your grandfather to kick him out of the family tree. Cheng Bibei said viciously. Also, kick his father out of the family tree. In short, kick all of their family out of the family tree. This. Yang Zhang swallowed. Why, you don't want to? Cheng Bibei's face sank and was cold. No, that's not what I meant. Yang Zhang saw Cheng Bibei's bad face and quickly shook his hand. Then you can have someone pass a message to your grandfather now, saying that it was my intention. Cheng Bibei said hatefully. It was late at night when Yang Xiaoshan returned to the house. Standing in the yard, he summoned the 9 Phoenix Golden Flame. Suddenly, the yard was brightly lit. The 9 Phoenix Golden Flame was wrapped around Yang Xiaoshan's body. From a distance, Yang Xiaoshan's body looked like 9 golden phoenixes coiled around him. Yang Xiaoshan jumped up and landed on one of the phoenixes and flew up with the control of the 9 phoenixes' golden flames. Suddenly, 9 phoenixes carried Yang Xiaoshan and flew in the yard. Originally, only martial emperors could fly in the air, but now, with the power of the 9 phoenixes' golden flames, Yang Xiaoshan could fly in the air. After flying in the yard for a while, Yang Xiaoshan took the 9 phoenixes' golden flames back into his body and began to practice. The next day, when Yang Xiaoshan stopped the dragon beginning technique and came out of the yard, Liao Kun, Zhang Jinggrang and the other 5 were already waiting respectfully. A few days ago, they went to purchase the medicinal materials for refining the 4 elephants elixir under the order of Yang Xiaoshan. They had already purchased them, and also brought back 110 slaves at the peak of the 10th level of the acquired realm. Yang Xiaoshan looked at the piles of medicinal materials in front of him, and nodded with satisfaction. You did a good job. The medicinal materials for refining the 4 elephants elixir were difficult to find, and I didn't expect that the 5 people could purchase so many. With so many medicinal materials, it was enough for him to refine for a month. Afterwards, Yang Xiaoshan gave Liao Kun, Zhang Jinggrang and the other 5 people a top grade 4 elephant spirit pill each. Liao Kun and the other 5 were very excited to see that it was a top grade 4 elephant spirit pill, and bowed to thank Yang Xiaoshan. Yang Xiaoshan also checked the 110 slaves at the peak of the 10th level of the acquired realm that he brought back this time. They were the same as the previous batch, and they were also good. Yang Xiaoshan was more and more satisfied with the ability of Liao Kun and the other 5 people to do things. Next, he asked these slaves to swallow the controlled pills, and then taught them the skills, and asked Ali and the other 2 to arrange accommodation for these slaves. Without the obstruction of the Urban Construction Bureau, after a few days of renovation, the 3 houses have been completely opened up, and the houses on the left and right have been renovated. However, with an additional 110 people, Yang Xiaoshan still felt that the house was a little small, so he asked Ali and the other 2 to try to buy a neighboring house later. Afterwards, Yang Xiaoshan began to refine the top grade foundation building spirit liquid. Thinking of refining 110 portions of top grade foundation building spirit liquid for the newly purchased slaves, he had a headache. It seemed that he had to train some pharmacists. Otherwise, he would have to refine the pills for the servants in the future, which was a waste of time. After 2 days of unremitting efforts, 110 portions of top grade foundation building spirit liquid were finally refined. Yang Xiaoshan then began to practice the stone sword technique. Although he had completely comprehended the sword techniques of the 100 stone swords, his realm was not high. The ones he comprehended later were all in the minor success realm, so next he had to practice all the 100 sword techniques to the perfect realm. At the same time, he had to integrate the 100 sword techniques and practice them into the 100 sword formation. By then, he would not be afraid of many martial kings of the first or even second level. In the blink of an eye, half a month passed. In this half month, Yang Xiaoshan practiced the 100 sword techniques almost all day. The first 30 swords had been practiced to the perfect realm, and the last 70 swords had all entered the great success realm, but there was still some distance to perfection. At the same time, Yang Xiaoshan purchased ore and refined iron, and used the 9 Phoenix Golden Flame to refine 100 super spiritual weapon longswords. Under Yang Xiaoshan's control, the 100 super spiritual weapon longswords turned into a sword dragon, swimming and attacking in the yard. Sometimes it turned into the sword of the earth, sometimes it turned into the sword of thunder, and sometimes it turned into the sword of life. Sometimes it was the sword of the scorching sun and the sword of the cold moon. Yang Xiaoshan controlled the 100 swords and practiced the sword of the 100 swords. In the yard, the sword light shone. The scorching sun and the cold moon alternated. The thunder and the storm exploded. At first, Yang Xiaoshan controlled the 100 swords to practice one set of swordsmanship, and then practiced another set of swordsmanship, but one day later, he tried to control the 100 swords to practice two swordsmanship at the same time. 50 long swords practiced one swordsmanship, and the other 50 long swords practiced the second swordsmanship. However, practicing two swordsmanship at the same time requires two minds and a lot of effort. 2 days later, after Yang Xiaoshan became proficient, he began to control the 100 swords to practice 3 swordsmanship at the same time. Just like that, half a month later, Yang Xiaoshan was able to control the 100 swords and practice 5 sword techniques at the same time. The 5 sword techniques evolved the power of the 5 element, and their power was terrifying. While practicing the 100 swords, Yang Xiaoshan tried to teach Atali how to make medicine. What surprised Yang Xiaoshan was that Atali and his partner had strong soul power. Under his training, they could quickly sense the fire of heaven and earth within 20 meters around them. Moreover, Atali and his partner had a high talent for making medicine. In just 1 month, they had already made a medium-grade foundation building spirit liquid. Although the medium grade was still far from Yang Xiaoshan's requirements, it was already precious. However, Yang Xiaoshan had been buying slaves, expanding his house, and buying refining tools and medicine materials recently. The 650,000 yuan he had earned from selling pills last time was almost spent, so Yang Xiaoshan went to Feng'an Commercial Bank at night. It has been more than a month since Yang Xiaoshan sold the best Dragon Tiger elixir. During this month, when Jingai had been waiting for Yang Xiaoshan for a long time, it was extremely hard and painful. When she saw Yang Xiaoshan coming, she almost cried with joy. "Lord Long, you are here." Last time, Yang Xiaoshan asked their company to prepare 1,000,000 gold in half a month, but more than a month has passed. Seeing Wen Jingai crying with joy, Yang Xiaoshan nodded and said, "I have been practicing swordsmanship recently and forgot the time." Then he took out the 10 best Dragon Tiger elixirs that he had prepared in advance. When Jingai looked at the jade bottles in front of her and opened them one by one with trembling jade hands, every time she opened a bottle, her heart was like a big earthquake. When she opened all the jade bottles, her heart was not just a big earthquake, but a big explosion. Chapter 80. The king is coming to Excalibur City. It's no wonder that when Jingai was so excited. You know, even some royal families in the surrounding countries may not have the best Dragon Tiger Spirit Pill. And all the jade bottles in front of her were full of the best Dragon Tiger Spirit Pill. A total of 10. Yang Xiaoshan looked at Wen Jingai, who was always excited and trembling, but his face was calm. In the past month, he occasionally refined 30 or 40 best Dragon Tiger Spirit Pills. Originally, he wanted to sell all these more than 30 best Dragon Tiger Spirit Pills, but considering that Feng'an Commercial Bank could not come up with so much money at once, he thought about selling 10 first. 10 pills, will it be enough for him to spend for a month? Is the money ready? What does your head office say? Yang Xiaoshan said. When Jingai regained consciousness, she tried to suppress her excitement and said to Yang Xiaoshan, "Sir, our head office said that if you sell it directly to us, one top grade dragon tiger spirit pill will cost 100,000 gold coins and 10 pills will cost 1 million gold coins. How about that?" Considering that the impact of the top grade dragon tiger spirit pill is far greater than the value of the pill itself, Fengyun Trading Company directly offered 100,000 gold coins for one pill. This price is already very good. Okay. Yang Xiaoshan nodded. Immediately, when Jingai excitedly handed the 1 million gold coins that she had prepared to Yang Xiaoshan took a look and put it away. "Sir, we plan to auction these 10 top grade dragon tiger spirit pills in a month. I wonder if we can invite you to come?" When Jingai asked excitedly, "In a month, it will be the pharmacist competition. At that time, countless pharmacists and strong men from Shenhe country will gather in Shenzhen city." Fengyun Trading Company chose to auction the top grade dragon tiger spirit pill during the pharmacist competition for better results. No need. Yang Xiaoshan shook his head. To be honest, he was not interested in this auction. It's just 10 top grade dragon tiger spirit pills, not 10 top grade dragon tiger spirit pills. When he refines top grade pills in 3 years, maybe he will come to the scene to see the auction. When Jingai was very disappointed to hear that Yang Xiaoshan would not attend the auction. If Lord Long could come to the auction would definitely be more popular. Now countless alchemists and powerful people in the surrounding countries want to see Lord Long. Lord Long. When Jingai hesitated for a moment and said, "The King of Shenhe, Dean Lin of the Divine Sword Academy, Lord Li Wen, the Chief Hall Master of the Shenhe Kingdom Pharmacist Hall, and the kings of the surrounding countries all want to see you. What do you think? Who wouldn't want to meet a pharmacist who can refine top grade dragon tiger spirit pills?" Yang Xiaoshan shook his head and said, "No. These people met him just to win him over and make him work for them." After Yang Xiaoshan finished speaking, he disappeared into the darkness and disappeared on the spot. However, when leaving, Yang Xiaoshan asked the other party to prepare another 1 million gold in a month. When Jingai was stunned for a long time. Another 1 million gold? Could it be? She was shocked. Lord Long meant that in a month, another 10 top grade dragon tiger spirit pills would be sold to Fengyun Trading Company? In a month, the other party could refine 10 top grade dragon tiger spirit pills. Even the 4 great alchemists of Shenhe country could not refine a top grade dragon tiger spirit pill in their entire lives, but Lord Long in front of them could refine 10 in a month. Soon, the news that Fengyun Trading Company would auction 10 top grade dragon tiger spirit pills in a month spread. Suddenly, all major forces were shocked. What? Fengyun Trading Company is going to auction off 10 top grade dragon and tiger spirit pills in a month. Lin Yang from the Divine Sword Academy looked at Chen Yuan in shock. Where did Fengyun Trading Company get so many top grade dragon and tiger spirit pills? Then, he was shocked and thought of a possibility. Could it be? Chen Yuan nodded and said, "Yes, it was sold to them by Lord Long again, and the appraiser of Fengyun Trading Company has appraised that these 10 top grade dragon and tiger spirit pills were all refined this month." When mentioning Lord Long, Chen Yuan's face was full of admiration. Even if he was not an alchemist, he could still admire Lord Long fanatically. 10 top grade dragon and tiger spirit pills were refined in 1 month. What a terrifying way of refining medicine. Lin Yang sighed. No wonder the kings of all countries want to see Lord Long. If Lord Long helps, the royal families of all countries will become stronger and stronger. He beat his chest and stamped his feet and said, "Why can't such a person be used by my Divine Sword Academy? Otherwise, my Divine Sword Academy will become the #1 academy in the Xiandao Empire." At this time, Luo Jianpeng and Deng Yichin from Yunhu Academy also learned that Lord Long sold 10 top grade dragon and tiger spirit pills to Fengyun business, and they were also shocked. The dean said that he would come to Divine Sword City in person. Luo Jianpeng said, "What? The dean came to Divine Sword City in person?" Deng Yichin said in surprise. If there is no extremely important matter, their dean will not leave the academy. In a month, Fengyun business will auction 10 top grade dragon and tiger spirit pills. The dean wants to participate in the auction and see if he can ask to see Lord Long. Luo Jianpeng said, "Not only will our dean come, but the deans of the other two academies will also come, and even His Majesty the King may come to Divine Sword City. And all this is to ask to see Lord Long. Deng Yichen's mouth opened wide. It was a big deal that His Majesty the King left the royal city. Under normal circumstances, His Majesty the King would not leave the royal city. This time he left the royal city, only to seek an audience with Lord Long. The next thing in Divine Sword City will be a storm. Luo Jianpeng sighed. He could imagine that countless masters and pharmacists would flock to Divine Sword City. However, Lord Long rarely shows up, and every time he shows up, he comes and goes without a trace. It's hard to see him. Deng Yichen was distressed. He had been in Divine Sword City for more than a month, but still could not find any trace of Lord Long. He could only get some news about Lord Long from Wen Jinggai of Feng'an Business, but these few words were of no use at all. After Yang Xiaoshan came back from Feng'an Business, he had 1 million gold, and he felt much more at ease. The next day, he summoned Liao Kun, Zhang Jinggrang and the other 5 people, and asked them to continue to buy a large number of slaves at the peak of the 10th level of the acquired heaven. Now, he already has 300 slaves under his command, and all of them have broken through to the innate realm, but he still thinks it is too little. At the same time, he asked 8 Ali to continue to buy houses in the surrounding areas. 8 Ali and the others were amazed when they heard the young master ask them to continue to buy houses in the surrounding areas. If they continued to buy, the young master's house would probably be bigger than the city lord's mansion of Shenzhen City. If it was bigger than the city lord's mansion of Shenzhen City, would the city lord Peng Zhigan feel uncomfortable? The two expressed their concerns to Yang Xiaoshan. Chapter 81 Washan. Don't worry about that. Yang Xiaoshan said, just keep buying. He is now the master of the Sword Hall, representing the entire Divine Sword Academy. How could Peng Zhigan care about such a small matter? Then, Yang Xiaoshan asked 8 and Ali about the cultivation of the 300 slaves. More than 30 people have broken through to the 2nd level of the innate realm. 8 said respectfully, more than 40 people have already reached the peak of the 1st level of the innate realm. The rest are almost all in the late stage of the 1st level of the innate realm, and only a very small number are in the middle stage of the 1st level of the innate realm. Yang Xiaoshan nodded. It was worth it for him to spend so much top-grade foundation building spirit liquid and top-grade dragon and tiger spirit pills on these people. After these slaves broke through to the innate realm, he refined 2 top-grade dragon and tiger spirit pills for each of them. It was because of this that these slaves improved so quickly in the past 2 months. Then, Yang Xiaoshan asked 8 and Ali about their cultivation. When he learned that they had broken through to the 4th level of the innate realm, Yang Xiaoshan nodded with satisfaction. Although he has 2 supreme martial spirits, the cyclone he condenses is too big. Every time he breaks through a level, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth that needs to be absorbed is extremely huge. In addition, he has been consolidating his foundation and practicing swordsmanship these days, so Art and the other 2 have not been slower than him in breaking through. Yang Xiaoshan checked the 2's medicine refining situation again. Seeing that the 2's medicine refining level continued to improve, Yang Xiaoshan was very relieved. At this rate, it won't take long before the 2 can refine the top grade foundation building spiritual liquid. When the 2 refine the high quality foundation building spiritual liquid, they can share a lot of his work. Otherwise, he would be exhausted to raise so many slaves by himself. However, it is still insufficient for Art and the other 2 to share the burden for him, so he asked Art and the other 2 to teach those slaves, to see who has the talent for refining medicine. If there is a talent for refining medicine, it can be cultivated more intensively. The 2 should be. Sir, the 4th princess returned to the royal city last month. Art hesitated and said, I heard that she wanted to ask the king to order you to be beheaded. There are people in the city talking about it. His Majesty the King will come to Shenzhen City in a few days. When the 2 went out to buy medicinal materials for refining the Dragon Tiger elixir, they heard a lot of people talking about it. Well, I know. Yang Xiaoshan nodded. He didn't take it to heart. After letting the 2 practice refining medicine more, he walked to Luo King's yard and asked Luo King to select 30 people from the 300 slaves to form a shadow team and then train them to help him get information in the future. Yang Xiaoshan has lived 2 lives and knows the importance of information. Afterwards, Yang Xiaoshan went to see Xiaojin again. Xiaojin, this little guy, has been practicing the heavenly beast art almost without leaving his house these days. Coupled with Yang Xiaoshan's top grade 4 elephant's elixir, Xiaojin's changes are even more amazing. I saw that in the golden light of the little guy's scales, there was actually a faint flower of flames. From a distance, it looked like it was covered with a layer of golden flames. And the horns on its forehead have grown. It is definitely a dragon horn. Both Yang Xiaoshan and Luo King were surprised to see the changes in the little guy. However, Luo King could not see Xiaojin's origin. But according to his judgment, Xiaojin should be a mutant beast. As for what kind of mutant beast it is unknown. Yang Xiaoshan decided to go back to the Academy's book pavilion in the next 2 days to look for information to see if he could find out Xiaojin's origin. Xiaojin was very happy to see Yang Xiaoshan, and then he performed several sets of boxing techniques that Yang Xiaoshan taught him, and they were all perfect. However, it was weird to see Xiaojin, a fierce beast, performing human boxing techniques. Yang Xiaoshan practiced the 100 sword technique for a while, and returned to the Shenjian Academy book pavilion to look for information about ancient mutant beasts. However, after looking through it for a whole morning, he could not find Xiaojin's origin. However, since Xiaojin grew a dragon horn, it must be related to some kind of ancient dragon. Afterwards, Yang Xiaoshan came to the inner hall of the sword hall and looked through the sword secrets and magical powers left by Kao Shun. Although he could not practice magical powers now, it would not hurt to take a look. In addition to reading the swordsmanship secrets and magical powers left by Kao Shun, he also read some of Kao Shun's notes. Most of these notes were Kao Shun's insights and understandings of swordsmanship. As the only martial emperor in the Divine Sword Academy for hundreds of years, Kao Shun's insights and understandings of swordsmanship have broadened his knowledge and horizons. Yang Xiaoshan saw Chen Changqing and the other 5 practicing swordsmanship, and discussed a lot of swordsmanship with them. After coming out of the sword hall, and walking on the streets of Divine Sword City, Yang Xiaoshan found that there were many more masters from foreign sects and families on the streets of Divine Sword City. There were even masters from other countries. Through everyone's conversation, Yang Xiaoshan learned that many people came for the pharmacist competition and the auction of Feng'an Commercial Bank. Of course, more people came for Lord Long. I must worship Lord Long as my teacher. A family disciple raised his arm. Come on, even the 4 great alchemists of Shenhe Kingdom may not be qualified to worship Lord Long as their master. What about you? I heard that the King of Ancient Sword Kingdom will bring all the princesses here. Why? There is a secret news that Lord Long is unmarried. The King of Ancient Sword Kingdom will bring all the princesses here to see if any of them can catch Lord Long's eye. The princesses of Ancient Sword Kingdom are all beautiful. If I were Lord Long, I would take them all. Someone laughed. Ancient Sword Kingdom is also one of the subordinate countries of Xiandao Empire. Among the dozens of countries around it, the strength of Ancient Sword Kingdom is much stronger than that of Shenhe Kingdom. Yang Xiaoshan was speechless when listening to these people's talk. I really don't know where these people got the secret news from. But even if he was unmarried, the King of Ancient Sword Kingdom would not have to bring all the princesses here. After returning to the house, Yang Xiaoshan practiced the 100 sword technique for a while, and began to make pills. While making pills, Yang Xiaoshan remembered the 3 kinds of strange fire that Chen Changqing mentioned later. Among the 3 kinds of strange fire, there is one called the Flame of Stars, which is in the Divine Sea. He planned to wait for Luo Kun and Zhang Jingrang to come back, and then go to subdue the Flame of Stars. Although the ranking of the Flame of Stars is lower than that of the 9 Phoenix Golden Flame, it is also in the top 100 of the list of strange fires, ranking 73rd. 7 days later, Luo Kun, Zhang Jingrang and the other 5 who went out to purchase came back. The 5 people lived up to Yang Xiaoshan's expectations, and brought back 700 slaves at the peak of the 10th level of the acquired realm. In these 7 days, Yang Xiaoshan had already refined 700 portions of the best foundation building spirit liquid, so after buying the 700 slaves, he gave them control pills, taught them the skills and let them swallow the best foundation building spirit liquid to practice. After doing all this, Yang Xiaoshan asked Liu Kun, Zhang Jinggrang and the other 5 to stay in the house, and he took Liu King to subdue the flame of stars. Seeing that Xiaojin practiced the heavenly beast art without leaving the house, he did not bring Xiaojin this time. After leaving the Divine Sword City, Yang Xiaoshan and Liu King walked on the mountain road. A few days later, they arrived at Washan. The flame of stars was inside Washan. Washan was a strange mountain in Shenhe country. Legend has it that a powerful witch god was buried there. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 82. Do you also want to subdue the flame of stars? When Yang Xiaoshan and his partner arrived at Washan, although it was almost noon, the entire Washan was still shrouded in thick fog, and no sunlight could be seen. As soon as Yang Xiaoshan entered Washan, he felt that Washan was extremely gloomy. Young master, be careful. There are many poisonous substances in Washan. Liu King said to Yang Xiaoshan. Washan is famous for its many poisonous substances. Many people change color when they mention the poisonous substances in Washan. Yang Xiaoshan nodded. He practiced the dragon technique and his body had gradually transformed into a real dragon body. He was not afraid of these poisonous substances. He took out a medicine bag with the function of expelling poison and asked Liu King to wear it. Washan is mostly full of weeds and poisonous insects, and the weeds are even taller than people. However, Yang Xiaoshan and his partner were both extraordinary. They entered Washan, as if walking on flat ground, and kept moving forward in the dense forest and weeds. An hour later, the two came to a cliff. Young master, the Poison Soul Valley is ahead. Liu King pointed to the front. Yang Xiaoshan looked forward. Due to the heavy wet fog, he could vaguely see the entrance to a valley hundreds of meters away. The flame of stars is inside the Poison Soul Valley. Passing through the thick fog, the two came to the entrance of the Poison Soul Valley. At this time, a giant python suddenly jumped out from the darkness, and a giant tail swept towards Yang Xiaoshan. Yang Xiaoshan didn't even look at it, and swung it directly. Suddenly, 100 super spiritual weapon swords flew out, and blasted the giant python away. When the giant python as big as a hill fell, it was already dead, and 100 sword holes were blasted all over its body. Liu King was surprised to see that Yang Xiaoshan could actually control 100 swords to attack. You know, in swordsmanship, it is very difficult to control multiple swords to attack at the same time. The more swords you control, the more difficult it is to attack. He has never seen a sword master who can control 100 swords to attack at the same time. Moreover, Yang Xiaoshan's 100 swords are all super spiritual weapon level. After the 100 swords blasted the giant python away, they returned to Yang Xiaoshan and turned into 100 sword lights that sank into Yang Xiaoshan's body. The two stepped into the Poison Soul Valley. The fog in the Poison Soul Valley is obviously different from the fog outside. The fog here is colorful and obviously poisonous. This is poison miasma. The poison of the poison miasma is very strong. If it is slightly touched, the skin will ulcerate. If it is inhaled into the body, the internal organs will gradually rot. Yang Xiaoshan was still worried, but he was relieved when he found that the poison miasma was completely burned by the 9 Phoenix Golden Flame. As soon as it entered the body, fire is the nemesis of all poisonous and ghost things. The 9 Phoenix Golden Flame is in the top 10 of the strange fire list. Burning these poisonous miasma is a piece of cake. And Liu King, with green light surging all over his body, Yang Xiaoshan can sense that a force of life is constantly generated between the surrounding trees and gathered around Liu King's body. Under these energies, all poisonous miasma cannot get close to Liu King's body. This is the power of the Wood Emperor art. Especially in the dense forest, the Wood Emperor art is even stronger. If Liu King works hard to practice, he may become the god of life one day. As the two went deeper, the poisonous miasma became more and more intense, and there were more and more poisonous creatures. Although these poisonous creatures could not hurt the two, they had to deal with them, which slowed down their speed. Seeing that there were too many poisonous creatures, Yang Xiaoshan simply summoned the 9 Phoenix Golden Flame. Go. All the poisonous creatures and poisonous miasma were burned clean wherever the 9 Phoenix golden flame passed. 9 Phoenix golden flame? Awakens was shocked when he saw the 9 Phoenix golden flame for the first time. Before, he had always guessed how Yang Ocean refined the top grade 4 symbol spirit pill. Now, he finally understood. In fact, what Awakens didn't know was that many of the top grade 4 symbol spirit pills that Yang Ocean had refined before were not made with the 9 Phoenix golden flame, but with the thunder tribulation divine fire. With the 9 Phoenix golden flame leading the way, the two were much faster. As the two were walking forward, suddenly, Yang Ocean saw a little golden light on the cliff in front of him. Seeing this golden light, Yang Ocean quickly came to the bottom of the cliff. Golden Lotus. Awakens was surprised. Golden Lotus can not only cure all kinds of poisons, but also increase true energy. It is also one of the important materials for refining precious pills. Precious pills are even better than innate spiritual pills. And looking at the golden lotus in front of him, it can already emit golden light, and its age is definitely not low. Yang Ocean jumped up, came to the cliff, and picked the golden lotus. It is difficult to find important materials for refining precious pills. It is a pleasant surprise to meet golden lotus here. Yang Ocean put away the golden lotus and continued to move forward with Awakens. Just as they were about to reach the deepest part of the Poison Soul Valley, suddenly a stunning starlight appeared in front of them. Yang Ocean was delighted. This starlight was undoubtedly the light of the star flame. The star flame was just ahead. Just as Yang Ocean was about to walk over quickly, he heard a loud bang. Feeling this amazing power, Yang Ocean's eyes condensed. Is someone trying to subdue the star flame? Young master, be careful, Awakens said. Judging from this power, the opponent's strength is definitely above his. Yang Ocean nodded and walked quickly towards the star flame. Soon, Yang Ocean saw the star flame. The star flame was suspended in the sky ahead, and the flames were surrounded by countless diamond-like stars, full of starlight, dreamlike and beautiful. 100 meters away from the star flame, there were 6 people, led by an old man. The 6 people were all dressed in strange clothes, and some looked like people from ancient tribes. The old man held a large wooden staff covered with runes. At this time, many parts of the 6 people were burned, and they were very embarrassed. They were looking at the star flame with fear. Obviously, the 6 people wanted to work together to subdue the star flame, but the horror of the star flame's flames exceeded the 6 people's expectations. The 6 people were surprised to see Yang Ocean, a child, suddenly break in. After being surprised, the old man kindly said, "Child, the Poison Soul Valley is dangerous. You should leave quickly." Yang Ocean shook his head. "I came here for the star flame." The 6 people were stunned. "For the star flame?" The old man smiled. "You also want to subdue the flame of stars?" Even he couldn't subdue the flame of stars. This kid actually wants to subdue the flame of stars? Yang Ocean nodded and said, "Not bad." After hearing this, several people looked at each other and smiled. "Even my master couldn't subdue the flame of stars, and you also want to subdue it?" A middle-aged man smiled and said, "How old are you? It hasn't been long since your martial spirit awakened, right?" His master was the old man. The old man was one of the strongest people in the surrounding countries. Even his master couldn't subdue it, let alone a child. Chapter 83 Old Mr. Wookie. The few people didn't mean any harm. They just thought it was funny that a child wanted to subdue the flame of stars. Yang Ocean looked at them and suddenly said, "What if I can subdue the flame of stars?" They were startled. The old man looked at Yang Ocean and smiled on his wrinkled face. "Child, if you can subdue the flame of stars, why not let me worship you as my teacher?" He was just joking, but Yang Ocean said, "Okay." Seeing Yang Ocean's serious look, the old man smiled and said, "What if you can't subdue the flame of stars? What should I do? If I can't subdue the flame of stars, this Supreme Dragon Tiger Spirit Pill is yours." Yang Ocean took out a Supreme Dragon Tiger Spirit Pill. Superb Dragon Tiger Spirit Pill. Not only the old man, but the other 5 people were all shocked. The 6 of them were all masters of alchemy, and of course they knew how rare the Supreme Dragon Tiger Spirit Pill was. The royal family of their Xiandao Empire had a collection of them. This child actually had one. Okay. The old man came back to his senses, staring at Yang Ocean's young face with his eyes. He was not tempted by this top-grade dragon tiger spirit pill. However, this child appeared in the Poisoned Soul Valley, and he had a top-grade dragon tiger spirit pill on him. He was curious about what means this child would use to subdue the flame of stars. If I subdue the flame of stars, I hope the old gentleman will abide by what you said just now, Yang Ocean said. Seeing Yang Ocean's confident look, the old man laughed. Don't worry, I, Wookiee, mean what I say, and I'm not a villain who goes back on my words. Yang Ocean nodded and walked towards the flame of stars. Wookiee. Luo King looked at the old man, and always felt that the name Wookiee was familiar. It seemed that he had heard this name somewhere before. The other people also looked at Yang Ocean in surprise. They also wanted to see where this child got the confidence and self-confidence. As Yang Ocean approached the flame of stars suddenly pounced on Yang Ocean. Be careful. Seeing this, the old men and the others could not help but speak. As soon as they finished speaking, they saw a ray of light suddenly appear and envelop Yang Ocean. When the star flame hit Yang Ocean, it was blocked. It was the light emitted by Master Ding of the Medicine Cauldron. Even the Thunder Tribulation Divine Fire and the 9 Phoenix Golden Flame could not blast away the light of Master Ding, let alone the star flame. The old men and the others were surprised to see a ray of light suddenly appear on Yang Ocean's body, which actually blocked the power of the star flame. They knew very well how strong the star flame was. They were all scared of the star flame. The star flame, that they could not block, was actually blocked by the light on this child. Yang Ocean looked at the star flame that was rushing over, and he was familiar with it. He activated the dragon technique, and took a picture with both hands. Suddenly, the sound of dragon roars resounded throughout the Poison Valley. In the surprised eyes of the few people, 20 dragons of true energy flew out of Yang Ocean's hands, and entangled the star flame. The star flame was entangled by Yang Ocean's key dragon, flapping and bombarding, but it could not break through the restraint of the key dragon. Innate 8th level. The old man was shocked. The child in front of him was actually an innate 8th level master. Could this child be the descendant of the Emperor of the Dragon Empire? No. Even if he was the descendant of the Emperor, it was impossible for him to be an innate master shortly after awakening his martial soul. Not to mention the innate 8th level. Moreover, what kind of key is a child's key? They have never seen key that can turn into a dragon. And this key can suppress and trap the star flame. You know, even the key of many martial emperors can't trap the star flame, but the key of the child in front of them can. They looked at Yang Ocean, in shock, full of unbelievable. After Yang Ocean trapped the star flame, he continued to suppress the star flame with the innate key dragon. In less than 2 hours, the violent flames of the star flame became docile. Then, Yang Ocean performed the fire control technique, and with his hands waving, he cast a fire rune, and merged it into the star flame. In less than an incense stick of time, the star flame was completely calm. Yang Ocean stretched out his right palm, and the star flame continued to shrink. Finally, it became the size of a palm, and fell on Yang Ocean's palm. When the star flame fell on Yang Ocean's palm, the starlight illuminated Yang Ocean's whole body, and Yang Ocean was like a son of the stars. Finally, the star flame slowly penetrated into Yang Ocean's palm, and stopped in Yang Ocean's danshan. The Thunder Tribulation Divine Fire was shining, and the 9 Phoenix Golden Flame and the star flame surrounded the Thunder Tribulation Divine Fire, emitting light. Wookiee and the other 6 watched Yang Ocean successfully subdue the star flame step by step, and they could not calm down for a long time. 2 hours before and after, the star flame ranked in the top 100 of the different fire list was subdued by the child in front of them. When the flame of stars was subdued by Yang Ocean, they still felt like they were in a dream. After a long time, Wookiee took a deep breath, calmed down the turmoil in his heart, and smiled bitterly at Yang Ocean. I didn't expect that you really subdued the flame of stars. Yang Ocean shook his head and said, it's already slow. He didn't use his full strength just now, otherwise, it could be faster. Wookiee and his friends were almost choked by the poisonous miasma in the valley when they heard that Yang Ocean took 2 hours to subdue the flame of stars and still thought it was slow. They tried for many years and still couldn't subdue it. You said it was slow after 2 hours? Old man, do you still remember what you said just now? Yang Xiaoshan said to Wookiee. Wookiee's face was cloudy, and finally he walked towards Yang Xiaoshan. Luoking came behind Yang Xiaoshan and stared at him closely, fearing that he would harm Yang Xiaoshan. Although he didn't know the true strength of this old man Wookiee, he was definitely very strong, and might even be above him. Just when Luoking was nervous, Wookiee came to Yang Xiaoshan, clasped his fists and said, "Wookiee greets the master." He was in a complicated mood. The other 5 people were stunned and wanted to say something. "Why don't you come over and pay homage to the master?" Wookiee saw the other 5 people hesitated, and his face darkened and he shouted. The other 5 people were full of bitterness, but in the end they came to Yang Xiaoshan, clasped their fists, and called him the master. However, calling a child the master was awkward, no matter how you called him. Yang Xiaoshan saw the expressions of Wookiee and the other 6 people, and said to Wookiee, "In fact, old man, you don't have to call me master in the future. How about this? You just refine medicine for me for 10 years in the future. How about it? Of course, I won't let you refine medicine for me for free. Every year, I will give each of you a top grade dragon and tiger elixir." Wookiee felt relieved when he heard Yang Xiaoshan say that he didn't need to call him master in the future. When he heard that the other party said that he would refine medicine for him for 10 years and give each of them a top grade dragon and tiger elixir every year, he couldn't help but be stunned. "Okay." Wookiee nodded. "Okay, then please take the oath, old man." Yang Xiaoshan said. Chapter 84. What is his talent for alchemy? Wookiee nodded and swore an oath by the way of heaven, saying that he would make medicine for Yang Xiaoshan for the next 10 years without any second thoughts. His 5 disciples also swore an oath. Afterwards, Yang Xiaoshan did not leave the Poison Soul Valley, but walked around the Poison Soul Valley and searched all the places he could find. He really found some good things. Some of them were not inferior to the Golden Lotus he had found before. Seeing that it was completely dark, Yang Xiaoshan and the others left the Poison Soul Valley. There were many poisonous insects in Wushan, and the few people did not stay in Wushan for long. After leaving Wushan, it was already late at night. Seeing this, Yang Xiaoshan and the others found a place outside Wushan and rested for a night before continuing on their way. On the way, Wookiee and the other 6 were extremely curious about Yang Xiaoshan's identity. A few days later, Yang Xiaoshan and the others finally returned to Shenzhen City. At this time, there were only a few days left before the pharmacist competition. The masters of the major sects and families of Shenhe country poured into Shenzhen City. The entire Shenzhen City was very lively, and the originally wide streets seemed a little crowded. The luxurious carriages of the major families, which are rarely seen in normal times, can be seen everywhere. "It seems that I have to get a ride in the future," Yang Xiaoshan said, looking at the luxurious carriages on the ground. "I heard that the Feng'an Commercial Bank auction a few days ago, in addition to the auction of the 10 top grade dragon and tiger elixirs, also auctioned a lot of good things, including a luxurious carriage." Luoking smiled at Yang Xiaoshan and said, "The body of this luxurious carriage is cast with top grade fine steel, and the horse is a black scaled horse, an exotic beast. It can travel 1,000 miles a day." Before, Yang Xiaoshan asked him to form a shadow team to get information, and these were all found out by the shadow team. Black scaled horse. Yang Xiaoshan shook his head. Although the black scaled horse is good, it is still a little worse. In fact, his original intention was to go to the Red Moon Forest, to subdue 2 beasts and use them to build his own ride. The few people walked and talked. Unknowingly, they returned to the house. At Ali, Liu-kun, Zhang Jinggrang and others were all overjoyed to see Yang Xiaoshan come back. "Young master, you are finally back," Art said to Yang Xiaoshan. "During the days when you were away, the 4th princess brought a large number of experts to make trouble almost every day. If you don't come back, she will probably tear down the gate." Seeing Art's bitter face, Yang Xiaoshan said, "If she comes again next time, don't report to me, just throw her out on the street." Liu-kun said helplessly, "Among the experts she brought this time, there are several martial kings, and 2 of them should be martial kings of the 10th level. Only martial kings of the 10th level." Wookiee's disciple Liu sneered. Liu Kun and others couldn't help but look at Liuan. Yang Xiaoshan introduced Wookiee and the other 6 to Liu Kun, Zhang Jingrong, Art and others. This is Mr. Wookiee, they are his disciples. Mr. Wookiee and the other 6 are all alchemists, and will serve me in the future. You should arrange 6 upper rooms for the old man. Art replied respectfully. Then let's go down and rest first. Young master, you can call me at any time, if you have anything. Wookiee said to Yang Xiaoshan. Yang Xiaoshan nodded. After Atali took Wookiee and the other 6 away, Yang Xiaoshan asked Liu Kun and the other 5 about the cultivation of the slaves. After learning that 500 people had broken through to the Xianshan realm, Yang Xiaoshan took out 200 portions of the best foundation building spirit liquid and asked Liu Kun to give it to the remaining slaves who had not yet broken through to practice. These 200 portions of the best foundation building spirit liquid were made on the way to Washan. Tell me when everyone has broken through to the Xianshan realm. Yang Xiaoshan said. He decided to take all the 1000 slaves under his command to the Red Moon Forest for a good training. These slaves, of course, could not be kept in a greenhouse. Only by training them hard could they be truly used by him. Moreover, he also wanted to go to the Red Moon Forest to pick 2 good mounts. Afterwards, Yang Xiaoshan asked Luo King to select another group of talented slaves and expand the Shadow Squad to 100 people. Night fell. Yang Xiaoshan practiced the 100 swordsmanship in the yard for a while and began to refine the Dragon Tiger Spirit Pill and the 4-symbol Spirit Pill. At this time, Liuan reported to Wookiee the news about Yang Xiaoshan that he had heard during the day. Out of curiosity about Yang Xiaoshan's identity, Liuan went out to inquire carefully during the day today. When Zhang Jingrong asked about Yang Xiaoshan had comprehended 30 stone swords and was the elder of the sword hall. Now, Yang Xiaoshan has comprehended 100 stone swords and is the master of the sword hall. Therefore, after Liuan's inquiry, he was even more shocked. What, you said, the young master is the new master of the sword hall of the Divine Sword Academy? Wookiee almost spit out his chi when he heard it. As one of the most powerful people in the Xiandao Empire, he certainly knew the Sword Hall of the Divine Sword Academy, and he also knew that the position of the Master of the Sword Hall of the Divine Sword Academy had been vacant for hundreds of years. Wookiee's other disciples were also shocked. Senior brother Liu, are you sure it's the same person? It can't be the same name, right? Liuan's junior brother Chen Yahan really couldn't believe that the position of the master of the sword hall of the Divine Sword Academy, which had been vacant for hundreds of years, was actually given to an 8-year-old child. It was hard for me to believe it at first, but I confirmed with many people that it was indeed our young master. Liuan said with a complicated expression, the new master of the sword hall of the Divine Sword Academy is called Yang Xiaoshan, 8 years old. Then he said in a strange tone, it took the young master less than a month to comprehend all the 100 stone swords of the Divine Sword Academy. Wookiee and the others stared with eyes as big as copper bells. In less than a month, he comprehended all the 100 stone swords of the Divine Sword Academy. In the past few months, they have been staying in Washan, trying to subdue the flame of stars, so they didn't know about Yang Xiaoshan. To be exact, it was less than half a month. Liuan's heart was trembling, and he said, because after the young master comprehended 30 stone swords, he went out for a trip in the middle, and came back to comprehend the remaining 70 stone swords after a while. The best day he comprehended 10 stone swords. Speaking of this, his breathing became rapid, he has twin 11th level super martial spirits, and he has cultivated many acquired sword techniques to the pinnacle. Wookiee and the others opened their mouths wide, like statues. How long has it been since the young master awakened his martial spirit? Chen Yahan asked with a dry mouth. It awakened in November of last year. Liuan said. It's July now, so the martial spirit has only been awakened for 8 months. What is his talent for alchemy? Wookiee asked anxiously. This is what they want to know most. We don't know yet. Liuan shook his head and said, because no one has seen him make medicine, we don't know what his talent for alchemy is. But I heard that he once told the 4th Princess Cheng Bibi that he passed the pharmacist assessment in less than half an hour, but Cheng Bibi and others believed that he was lying and said that he was pretending to be a pharmacist in the pharmacist hall. Passed the pharmacist assessment in less than half an hour. Wookie and others were shocked. Impersonating, Wookie looked in the direction of Yang Xiaoshen's yard. Cheng Bibi and others thought that Yang Xiaoshen was lying, but they didn't think so. Chapter 85 Yang Xiaoshen is a 1-star pharmacist. If the young master can really refine the inferior foundation building spiritual liquid in less than half an hour, then his talent for refining medicine is absolutely monstrous. Chen Yaheng said calmly. In less than half an hour, he passed the pharmacist assessment. This is absolutely unprecedented in the Shenlong Empire. Do you think that the top grade dragon tiger spirit pill was also refined by the young master? Liyuan suddenly said. Wookie knocked on the head of his disciple Liyuan and said unhappily, "What are you thinking about? Yang Xiaoshen was able to refine the inferior foundation building spiritual liquid in less than half an hour and pass the pharmacist assessment. It was a miracle in history. Yang Xiaoshen had just passed the pharmacist assessment, so how could he refine an innate spiritual pill like the Dragon Tiger Spirit Pill? Not to mention the top grade Dragon Tiger Spirit Pill. Even for him, Wookie, it is very difficult to refine a top grade innate spiritual pill." Liyuan scratched his head embarrassedly and said, "I was just talking casually." The next day, Yang Xiaoshen came to the book pavilion of the Divine Sword Academy early. Since he was going to the Red Moon Forest to subdue a beast in a while, he planned to learn the beast language and beast control skills these days. If he was proficient in the beast language and beast control skills, subduing a beast would be a piece of cake. However, the beast language and beast control skills were as difficult to learn as refining medicine, so there were very few people who could learn them. On the 4th floor of the library, Yang Xiaoshen found books on beast language and beast control. Since beast control was a niche subject, there were not many books on this subject, and there were only a dozen books in the library. But for Yang Xiaoshen, it was enough. After flipping through an introductory book on beast language, Yang Xiaoshen began to try to pronounce the beast language using the unique pronunciation method. The first time was still a little awkward, but the second time was much more proficient. After an hour, Yang Xiaoshen's beast language was already accurate. Then, he read the second and third books. He read one by one, and soon, he finished reading more than a dozen books on beast language and beast control without realizing it. After reading them, Yang Xiaoshen's heart was in turmoil. In fact, to control beasts, as long as you learn all the beast language, you are halfway to success. After that, it was the beast control technique. The beast control technique required the beast language to cooperate and controlled the beasts by performing the blood sacrifice technique. The stronger the soul, the more beasts can be controlled. However, most beast masters can only control one beast. Beast masters who can control 2 beasts are extremely rare. I wonder how many I can control. Yang Xiaoshen thought to himself. He had almost learned the beast language, and he had completely memorized the blood sacrifice technique. He just practiced it once, and it should be correct. Now, all he needed to do was to find a few beasts to test. His soul power was extremely strong, and he should be able to control 2 or even more beasts. Afterwards, Yang Xiaoshen went to the sword hall again, and looked through Kaoshun's swordsmanship secrets and magical secrets. In the next few days, Yang Xiaoshen basically practiced the 100 swordsmanship and the Tangshan swordsmanship during the day, occasionally refining pills, or going to the sword hall to read the swordsmanship secrets. What surprised Yang Xiaoshen was that Cheng Bibi did not come to the mansion to make trouble during the few days he came back. Originally, he planned to throw her out of the mansion if she came to make trouble. However, since the other party did not come to make trouble, he was left alone. After a few days, the remaining slaves finally broke through to the Xianshan realm. Now, excluding Liu King, Liu Kun and others, he has 1,000 Xianshan realms under his command. Unknowingly, the pharmacist competition finally arrived. On this day, before dawn, the whole Shenzhen city was boiling. It's finally here. Yang Xiaoshen stopped practicing and stretched. These days, he has been waiting for the pharmacist competition. Dressed neatly, Yang Xiaoshen came out of the yard and called Liu King, Liu Kun, Atali and 8 others. When passing by Wookie's yard, he saw Wookie's masters and apprentices were all there, so he also called Wookie's masters and apprentices. When the Wu apprentices learned that Yang Xiaoshan was going to participate in today's pharmacist competition, they immediately became excited. These days, they have never had the opportunity to see their young master making medicine. Today, they finally have the opportunity to know how talented their young master is in making medicine. Although they believed that Yang Xiaoshan passed the pharmacist assessment in less than half an hour, they still wanted to see with their own eyes whether Yang Xiaoshan could really refine the lower grade foundation building spiritual liquid in half an hour. When they left the house and walked to the street, there were already crowds of people. This pharmacist competition was unprecedented. Even many powerful people from the surrounding countries came to watch. You have heard that the second Prince Cheng Fei has subdued the spiritual fire. In this pharmacist competition, His Royal Highness Cheng Long will definitely win the first place. Although His Royal Highness Cheng Fei has subdued the spiritual fire, Miss Chen Zhen may not lose. You don't know this. His Royal Highness Cheng Fei subdued the cold spiritual bone fire, and I heard that His Royal Highness Cheng Fei has taken Lord Jiang Yu as his teacher, and his medicine refining level has improved by leaps and bounds. What? Lord Jiang Yu? Lord Jiang Yu, the legendary pharmacist of Xiandao Empire? In front of Yang Xiaoshan, a group of family disciples were talking. Listening to the discussion of the disciples in front, Yang Xiaoshan's face remained normal. There are many spiritual fires in the world, more than 10,000 kinds. Leng Linggu Huo ranked only 1631st on the spiritual fire ranking. Just when Yang Xiaoshan and his party arrived at the pharmacist hall, Cheng Bibei and a group of masters from the royal family of Shenhe Kingdom also arrived at the pharmacist hall. Second brother, it's him, he is Yang Xiaoshan. Cheng Bibei was sharp-eyed and saw Yang Xiaoshan at a glance, pointing at Yang Xiaoshan angrily. The young man next to her was Cheng Long. Cheng Long was wearing a dragon robe, showing the aura of a noble family. He looked at Yang Xiaoshan and said, "You are Yang Xiaoshan?" His tone was not very friendly. He has always loved his sister. However, Yang Xiaoshan kicked his sister away twice. Although his father told him not to provoke Yang Xiaoshan, he was still very upset with Yang Xiaoshan. Yang Xiaoshan glanced at Cheng Long, ignored him, and entered the square with Wu Qi, Luo King and others. Cheng Long saw that Yang Xiaoshan ignored him, and his face sank. As the second prince of Shenhe Kingdom, how could he be treated like this? Second brother, look at Yang Xiaoshan's arrogance. Cheng Bibei was even more furious and said, "You must teach him a lesson." "Don't worry." Cheng Long looked at Yang Xiaoshan coldly. They then entered the square and met Chen Zihan, Hu Crossing and others. At this time, Cheng Long, Chen Zihan, Hu Crossing and others saw Yang Xiaoshan walking towards the contestants of the pharmacist hall and were stunned. Is Yang Xiaoshan also going to participate in the pharmacist competition? A guard next to Cheng Bibei said. However, the pharmacist competition stipulates that only pharmacists are eligible to participate in the pharmacist competition. In the surprise of Cheng Long, Chen Zihan, Hu Crossing and others, Yang Xiaoshan took out a 1-star pharmacist identity card. 1-star pharmacist identity card? Did Yang Xiaoshan really pass the pharmacist assessment? Cheng Long, Hu Crossing and others were shocked, and then looked at Chen Zihan and Cheng Bibei. Didn't Chen Zihan and Cheng Bibei always say that Yang Xiaoshan was pretending to be a pharmacist of the pharmacist hall? Chapter 86. Met once 3 months ago. It's definitely not true. At this time, Cheng Bibei said excitedly, Yang Xiaoshan can't have passed the pharmacist hall assessment. She didn't believe that Yang Xiaoshan could really pass the pharmacist hall assessment. Not only Cheng Bibei, but Chen Zihan also didn't believe it. Just when Yang Xiaoshan was about to register with his 1-star pharmacist ID card, Chen Zihan came over and shouted, "Wait." When the pharmacist in charge of registration saw that it was Chen Zihan, he quickly stood up and said, "Miss Chen." Chen Zihan took Yang Xiaoshan's 1-star pharmacist ID card and checked it, and asked at the same time, "Yang Xiaoshan, which pharmacist hall did you take the assessment?" Yang Xiaoshan looked at Chen Zihan's questioning face and said calmly, "I wonder which pharmacist hall master you are? Do I need to answer you?" According to the rules of the pharmacist hall, only the pharmacist hall master level is qualified to ask these things. Chen Zihan was furious. Her face flushed, and she glared at Yang Xiaoshan. However, no matter how she checked, She couldn't see any problems with Yang Xiaoshen's 1-star pharmacist ID card. Is it okay? Yang Xiaoshen looked at the pharmacist who was registering. The pharmacist saw Chen Zihan holding Yang Xiaoshen's ID card and looking through it, so he stepped forward and said with embarrassment, "Miss Chen, can you take a look?" Chen Zihan could only reluctantly hand over her ID card to the pharmacist for registration. She glared at Yang Xiaoshen with hatred. "Yang Xiaoshen, don't be so proud. It doesn't matter if you pass the pharmacist assessment. I will teach you a lesson in the pharmacist competition later. You will know what a genius in alchemy is." "Really?" Yang Xiaoshen looked Chen Zihan up and down. "Genius? You?" Chen Zihan was so angry that her chest heaved. She stared at Yang Xiaoshen fiercely. "Just wait and see." After Yang Xiaoshen registered, he entered the contestant site. It's Yang Xiaoshen. Yang Shen. Yang Shen is also participating in the pharmacist competition, and he passed the pharmacist hall assessment. Many teachers and students from the Divine Sword Academy also came to watch the pharmacist competition today. When the teachers and students of the Divine Sword Academy saw that Yang Xiaoshen actually entered the contestant site, they were all in an uproar. Following the uproar of the teachers and students of the Divine Sword Academy, the masters of the families and sects of the Divine Sword City were also in an uproar. On the rostrum, Peng Zhigang, the invited lord of the Divine Sword City, was also surprised to see that Yang Xiaoshen actually came to participate in the pharmacist competition. At the birthday banquet, didn't Chen Zihan swear that Yang Xiaoshen was impersonating the pharmacist of the pharmacist hall? Sitting next to Peng Zhigang were Kaheo, the dean of Yanhu Academy, and Luo Junpeng, the vice dean. Is he Yang Xiaoshen from the Divine Sword Academy? Kaheo looked at Yang Xiaoshen, who walked into the competition site, frowned, and asked Luo Junpeng. "Yes, he is Yang Xiaoshen." Luo Junpeng's face was grim. He didn't expect that Yang Xiaoshen not only had amazing martial arts talent and swordsmanship talent, but also had such amazing talent in alchemy. Passing the assessment of the pharmacist hall at the age of 8, this can no longer be described as a demon. In the crowd, Deng Yichen from Yanhu Academy looked at Yang Xiaoshen with an equally grim face. As a young alchemy genius of the Shenhe Kingdom, he arrived early today. He didn't expect that Yang Xiaoshen would really come to participate in the pharmacist competition today, and he didn't expect that Yang Xiaoshen actually passed the pharmacist assessment. Yang Xiaoshen felt Deng Yichen's eyes, looked over, and saw Deng Yichen's dead face. Chen Zihan saw that everyone around was amazed at Yang Xiaoshen, and all their eyes fell on Yang Xiaoshen. No one paid attention to herself, and she was even more angry. Then, Chen Zihan, Cheng Long Hu Crossing and others who had already registered walked into the competition site. When Cheng Long passed in front of Yang Xiaoshen, he said coldly, "Yang Xiaoshen, you just passed the pharmacist assessment. Why are you so proud? You may not be able to pass the first round later." At this time, a young man outside the venue said to Cheng Long, "Cheng Long, I say you are mentally ill." Which eye of yours saw that Master Yang was proud? Everyone was surprised. They didn't expect that someone would dare to call Cheng Long mentally ill. Cheng Long looked over, and his face changed when he saw the young man. The young man was Guzi, the prince of the ancient sword kingdom. Guzi was a sword fanatic, and was famous for his obsession with swords and swordsmanship. Guzi clasped his fists, and smiled at Yang Xiaoshen. "Young Master Yang, I have heard of your great name for a long time. I'm Guzi, the prince of ancient sword country. I admire you very much. I did not expect that you not only have a great talent in swordsmanship, but also have such a great talent in alchemy. I will have to ask you for advice on swordsmanship in the future." Yang Xiaoshen nodded to him in a friendly manner. He did not expect that the prince of ancient sword country was his fan. In fact, Yang Xiaoshen still underestimated his influence. The story of him comprehending the 100 stone swords of the Divine Sword Academy and becoming the master of the sword hall of the Divine Sword Academy has gradually spread, and many sword geniuses and masters from the surrounding countries admire him. At this time, the crowd was in turmoil, and 4 old men walked onto the podium. It's Master Li Wen, Master Wu Qi, Master Feng Crossing, and Master Ramolin K. Someone shouted excitedly. The 4 people were the 4 great alchemists of the Divine Sea country. Yang Xiaoshen did not expect that even Li Wen would come. He looked at the 4 people. Li Wen was as energetic as last time. Wookie was a fat man, Deng Yichen's master. Feng Crossing had silver hair. He seemed to be the old monster Feng mentioned by Chen Yuan and others. Qiu Heiqiu, who was killed by him in Xingaiu City before, was his disciple. Imolinke looked like a Confucian scholar. He was the youngest among the four. Peng Zhigang, Khao, Luo Jianpeng and others saw Li Wen and the other four coming, and hurriedly stood up to greet them. As the head of the Shenhe Kingdom's pharmacist hall, Li Wen had an extraordinary status. He nodded and smiled at Peng Zhigang and others, then turned to Yang Xiaoshan in the audience, and said with a smile, "I didn't expect that you would also come to participate in the pharmacist competition. This pharmacist competition will definitely be exciting." Everyone was shocked. They didn't expect Li Wen to greet Yang Xiaoshan. Yang Xiaoshan smiled lightly. "General Master Li, you are too kind." Li Wen laughed and sat down with everyone. In fact, it was his idea to set the venue of this pharmacist competition in Shenzhen City. He did this to attract Yang Xiaoshan to participate. He was still not satisfied with Yang Xiaoshan's medicine refining techniques during the last pharmacist assessment, and he wanted to watch more. He just didn't know if this little guy's medicine refining skills had improved in the past few months. Cheng Longhu Crossing, Chen Zhen and others were all surprised to see that Yang Xiaoshan actually knew Li Wen. Does Chief Palace Master Li know Yang Xiaoshan? Peng Zhigang couldn't help but ask. Khao, Luo Jianpeng, Feng Crossing, Wookie, Imolinke and others were all curious about how Li Wen knew Yang Xiaoshan. Li Wen smiled and nodded. "I met him 3 months ago." Everyone was stunned. Only met him once. But judging from the way the two of them just now, it didn't seem like they had only met once. After a while, Li Wen said to Lin Yuan, "It's almost time. Let's start." "Yes, Master." Lin Yuan responded, stood up, scanned the scene, and said, "The pharmacist competition starts now, and the first round is next." Chapter 87 Storm. The first round is to select medicinal materials. Lin Yuan's voice was loud enough for the whole scene to hear. Use the fastest time to select the medicinal materials for refining the foundation building spirit liquid. Whoever uses the fastest time and selects the most complete and better medicinal materials will be ranked higher. Then, the pharmacists of the pharmacist hall began to place the medicinal materials in front of Yang Xiaoshan, Chen Long, Chen Zhan, Deng Yichen, Hu Crossing, Huang Tingting and others. There are a total of 14 kinds of medicinal materials for refining the foundation building spirit liquid, but at this time, they are mixed with many kinds of medicinal materials and placed in front of Yang Xiaoshan and other contestants. There are a total of 200 kinds of mixed medicinal materials. In other words, Yang Xiaoshan and others need to select the 14 kinds of medicinal materials for refining the foundation building spirit liquid as soon as possible from the 200 kinds of medicinal materials. Of course, each mixed medicinal material has 2 medicinal materials for refining the foundation building spirit liquid. One is a high grade one, and the other is a low grade one. Many contestants frowned as they looked at the large pile of medicinal materials in front of them. It is not difficult to select medicinal materials, but it is extremely difficult to select 14 medicinal materials from 200 mixed medicinal materials. 200 kinds of medicinal materials, mixed together, are dazzling, and people simply feel that they have no idea where to start. Moreover, the colors and appearances of many of the 200 medicinal materials are similar to those of the medicinal materials used to refine the foundation building spirit liquid. Sometimes, even if a few medicinal materials are placed together, they can be taken by mistake if you are not careful, let alone now that they are all mixed together. After all the medicine apprentices put all the medicinal materials in place, Lin Yuan said, "Start now." When Lin Yuan finished speaking, Cheng Long immediately moved. He rushed to his pile of medicinal materials in almost one step, and his hands kept moving. The 200 kinds of medicinal materials were constantly separated by him, and soon, more than a dozen small piles were separated. What a magical hand. Feng Crossing saw Cheng Long's hands move, and exclaimed, "I didn't expect that senior Jiang Yu would pass on the magical hand to the second prince." Wookie also nodded and praised. The second prince's magical hand has been cultivated to the level of 8 shadows, and he has extraordinary talent. From a distance, Cheng Long looked like he had 8 arms. When Chen Zhen came to the pile of medicinal materials, she waved her hands, and 200 kinds of medicinal materials were spread out, and each kind of medicinal material was separated by a certain distance. Miss Chen's cloud brushing hand is amazing. Imolinke saw Chen Zhen's movements, and smiled to Li Wen. The successor of the chief hall master has someone. Feng Crossing, Wookie, Peng Zigong, Khao, Luo Jianpeng and others also praised. Li Wen looked at Chen Zhen below with a smile, and he was indeed very satisfied with this disciple. He looked at Yang Xiaoshan, but he saw Yang Xiaoshan standing there without moving. Li Wen, Lin Yuan and others saw it, and couldn't help but wonder. Outside the venue, Cheng Bibai saw this and sneered. It seems that Yang Xiaoshan has no idea how to deal with this pile of medicinal materials. He can't even tell the medicinal materials for the foundation building spirit liquid apart. I really don't know how he passed the pharmacist assessment. Cheng Bibai's voice was loud and many people around heard it. Some Yunhu Academy disciples who already disliked the Divine Sword Academy laughed and said, "Did Yang Xiaoshan buy a 1-star pharmacist? It's really possible. With the ability of the Divine Sword Academy, it's not easy to buy a 1-star pharmacist." Many Yunhu Academy disciples said in a booing tone. The teachers and students of the Divine Sword Academy glared at the Yunhu Academy disciples who were making a fuss. But the Yunhu Academy disciples made a fuss even more vigorously. At this time, the guards behind Cheng Bibai also laughed and said, "Yang Xiaoshan, you'd better come down quickly. You can't even tell the medicinal materials for the foundation building spirit liquid apart. Don't embarrass yourself." Lin Yuan frowned, and was about to explain when Yang Xiaoshan suddenly took action. Yang Xiaoshan waved his hands at the pile of medicinal materials from a distance of several meters. A gust of wind arose. Suddenly, the pile of medicinal materials was all swept up by the wind and flew into the sky. Everyone was surprised to see this. What kind of technique is this? At this time, Cheng Bibai sneered and said, "This is a martial art. Yang Xiaoshan, you don't think this is a martial arts arena? Come on, this is a pharmacist competition." The guards around him also laughed. Yang Xiaoshan had a blank expression on his face and turned his palms. The wind was spinning regularly, and the pile of herbs were scattered one by one, suspended in the wind, clearly separated. Each kind of herb was scattered in every corner of the wind, and the layers were clear. From top to bottom, the darkest herbs were at the top, and the lightest herbs were at the bottom. When these herbs were placed one by one in the wind, everyone was surprised to see this magical scene. Even Cheng Bibai and her guards, who had just laughed, were silent. When all the herbs were placed in the wind, Yang Xiaoshan flicked his 10 fingers with both hands, and the force of his fingers kept flicking at the herbs in the wind like a rainstorm. One after another, the herbs were flicked up. These flicked herbs fell to the ground one by one. No more, no less. A total of 14 kinds. They were the 14 herbs needed to refine the foundation building spirit liquid. Then, Yang Xiaoshan turned his palms, and the wind suddenly stopped, and all the other useless herbs fell to the ground beside him. Seeing this scene, whether it was Li Wen, Peng Zigong and others on the rostrum, or the masters from various countries and sects under the stage, they were all shocked. They had never thought that the 14 kinds of medicinal materials for refining the foundation building spirit liquid were selected like this. It took less than a minute. No, to be exact, it was only a dozen seconds. Almost everyone saw this method of selecting medicinal materials for the first time. And Li Wen also saw this method of selecting medicinal materials for the first time. Li Yuan's eyes widened, and he thought of method, but he was not sure. He looked at Wookie. "Master, could this be turbulent storm?" Wookie stared at the pile of selected medicinal materials and said slowly. His voice was difficult to suppress excitement and trembling. Wookie's voice was not loud, but it was still heard by some people around. "What? Violent storm? The 10 major methods of refining medicine. This is a violent storm. I saw the violent storm method." Many pharmacists trembled inexplicably and were extremely excited when they heard it. Li Wen, Wookie, Feng Crossing, Imolinke, Peng Zigong, Khao and others on the rostrum stood up in shock. Turbulent storm. Li Wen was incoherent. This. 3 months ago, Yang Xiaoshan's performance of the Dilang hand during the pharmacist assessment was already astonishing, but compared with the magical 10 alchemy techniques in front of him, it was a world of difference. It turned out to be the turbulent storm technique. Wookiee's beard was trembling with excitement. The 10 alchemy techniques in the pharmacist world are magical, but extremely rare. Many pharmacists will never see one of them in their lifetime. How lucky they are to see it now. Cheng Bibi was completely speechless. She stared at the pile of 14 kinds of medicinal materials that were selected and neatly placed there. Turbulent storm, 10 alchemy techniques. Wasn't Yang Zai Ocean performing martial arts just now? How did it become the 10 alchemy techniques? Awesome. Chapter 88 should be medium quality. Chen Long, who was originally performing the magic hand, as if he had 8 arms, picked out a medicinal material and was feeling smug when he suddenly saw a strong wind blowing next to him. Yang Zai Ocean's finger force ejected the medicinal materials one by one like a rainstorm. Then he heard the people around him shouting excitedly, the wind and the rain technique. He was completely stunned. The wind and the rain? The top 10 medicinal refining techniques? He was stunned. Not only Qing Long was stunned, but Chen Zihan, who was performing the cloud hand to the extreme and performing it vigorously, was also stunned. Deng Yichen, Hu Crossing and others were also stunned. They looked at Yang Zai Ocean, who was standing there motionless. At this time, the sun was already very bright, and Yang Zai Ocean was bathed in the sun, as if his whole body was covered with a layer of golden light. Please count it. When everyone was shocked, Yang Zai Ocean said to the appraiser beside him. The appraiser woke up and was about to go forward to count, but Lin Yuan jumped down and came to the pile of medicinal materials in front of Yang Zai Ocean. He carefully counted the 14 kinds of medicinal materials that Yang Zai Ocean had selected. Single fruit, top grade. 5 spirit flowers, top grade. Lin Yuan recited them one by one, and his heart tightened with each recitation. All 14 kinds of medicinal materials are correct, all of them are top grade, and it took 13 breaths. Lin Yuan stood up and tried to calm down, but he was still hard to get excited when he spoke. 13 breaths. Even he couldn't do it. Even if he used all his skills, it would take at least 40 or 50 breaths to pick out all 14 kinds of medicinal materials. What's more, the medicinal materials selected by Yang Zai Ocean are all top grade. They are the best. Hearing the result announced by Lin Yuan himself, Chen Long, Chen Zihan and others who had originally held a glimmer of hope that the medicinal materials selected by Yang Zai Ocean were not right, completely fell into the abyss. With this result, Yang Zai Ocean will undoubtedly be the first. Even if the medicinal materials they finally selected are all top grade, they can't surpass Yang Zai Ocean. Gojiang. Gojiang. Suddenly, the teachers and students of the Divine Sword Academy shouted excitedly, Gojiang. Suddenly, the Prince of the Ancient Sword Kingdom, Guzi, also shouted excitedly. Many sword disciples of the Ancient Sword Kingdom originally worshipped Yang Zai Ocean. Seeing that even their prince had called him, they also shouted, Gojiang. The sound waves were getting louder and louder, making Cheng Bibi and her guards feel deafening. Cheng Bibi stood there, completely drowned by the sound waves. She could no longer laugh. The sound waves did not subside for a long time. At this time, in the Divine Sword Academy, Lin Yang and Chen Yuan were standing in the yard discussing the results of the final exam of the academy. They saw students running out frantically, and they couldn't help but feel strange. The two stopped a student and asked what was going on. It's God Yang, Palace Master Yang. Palace Master Yang is participating in the pharmacist competition. The student said excitedly. Lin Yang and Chen Yuan were shocked. You mean, Palace Master Yang, he is a pharmacist? He passed the pharmacist assessment? Lin Yang was surprised. Before the two could react completely, the student continued. Palace Master Yang just used the 10 major alchemy techniques and won the first place in the first round. 10 major alchemy techniques. Storm. The student had been gone for a long time, but Lin Yang and Chen Yuan were still standing there in a daze. The Palace Master? Chen Yuan said after a long while. Lin Yang took a deep breath and calmed his heart. You are right. Then he said, I almost became a sinner of the academy. He meant that Chen Yuan persuaded him to let Yang Zai Ocean stay in the Divine Sword Academy. The Palace Master is participating in the pharmacist competition. Should we tell Elder Chen and others? Chen Yuan suddenly said. Yes, tell Elder Chen and others. Lin Yang woke up and hurried to the sword hall with Chen Yuan. A moment later, 5 figures rushed out of the sword hall and rushed to the medicine hall competition site with Lin Yang and Chen Yuan at full sprint speed. The first round of the competition has a time limit of half an hour. Within half an hour, all pharmacists who have not selected medicinal materials will be eliminated. Of course, those who choose randomly or make the wrong choice will also be eliminated. In the first round, Yang Xiaoshan naturally won the first place without any dispute. The second place was Cheng Long, the third was Chen Zihan, followed by Deng Yichen, Huang Tingting and others, and Hu Crossing happened to be ranked 10th. Although they had guessed this result in the first round, Chen Long, Chen Zihan, Deng Yichen and others still looked unhappy. They usually claimed to be the young generation of the Shenhe Kingdom pharmacist world, but today they actually lost to an 8-year-old child. The guard behind Cheng Bibi said, "Don't worry, 4th princess. The pharmacist competition is ultimately about the level of medicine refining. Even if Yang Xiaoshan is good at storms, he can't refine a top-grade foundation building spiritual liquid. Let alone a top-grade foundation building spiritual liquid. He certainly can't refine even a mid-grade foundation building spiritual liquid. The first place will still go to the second prince." Cheng Bibo's face looked a little better, and she said coldly, "You are right. The first place in the pharmacist competition will still go to my second brother." At this time, Lin Yuan on the rostrum said, "Next is the second round of competition. The second round of competition is to refine a portion of foundation building spiritual liquid with the medicinal materials you have selected. Whoever refines the foundation building spiritual liquid with the higher quality and the shorter the time, the higher the ranking." Hearing that the second round of competition was indeed a competition of the quality of the refined foundation building spiritual liquid, Chen Long, Chen Zihan, Deng Yichen, Hu Crossing, Huang Tingting and others felt relieved. They have been refining medicine for many years and are still very confident in refining the foundation building spiritual liquid. They have achieved 90% success. Moreover, the quality of the refined foundation building spiritual liquid is definitely not low. Especially Qing Long, he is even more confident. He has the cold spirit bone fire ranked 1631st on the spiritual fire list. He doesn't believe that the quality of the foundation building spiritual liquid refined by Yang Xiaoshan and others will be higher than his. The competition begins. Lin Yuan said loudly. Chen Long, Chen Zihan, Deng Yichen, Hu Crossing, Huang Tingting and others immediately started to fight. Wu Qi, Li Yuan and others stared at Yang Xiaoshan closely. "Master, what quality of foundation building spiritual liquid do you think the young master can refine?" Li Yuan couldn't help asking. "It should be medium quality." Wu Qi pondered. "It is absolutely incredible that an 8-year-old child can refine a medium quality foundation building spiritual liquid, but Yang Xiaoshan has the flame of the stars, so it is still possible to refine a medium quality foundation building spiritual liquid." At this time, Chen Changqing, Hele, Lin Yang, Chen Yuan and others have also arrived at the scene, and they are also looking at Yang Xiaoshan nervously. Yang Xiaoshan was able to pass the pharmacist assessment, so he was sure to be able to refine the lower grade foundation building spiritual liquid, but they still prayed in their hearts that Yang Xiaoshan could create another miracle and refine the middle grade foundation building spiritual liquid. Everyone was looking at Yang Xiaoshan. Everyone wanted to see what quality of foundation building spiritual liquid Yang Xiaoshan could refine. Under everyone's gaze, Yang Xiaoshan suddenly stretched out his arms and said, "Fire." Suddenly, between heaven and earth, countless fires of heaven and earth turned into a sea of fire, rushing towards Yang Xiaoshan. When everyone saw that when Yang Xiaoshan shouted fire, fire, the fire of heaven and earth suddenly appeared and rushed towards Yang Xiaoshan, they were stunned. Chen Long, Chen Zihan, Hu Crossing, Deng Yichen and others saw the fire of heaven and earth like a sea of fire, and they were so scared that they stopped. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 89. The second prince wants to refine the innate elixir. This Cheng Bibi, who was standing at the edge of the square, was also shocked by the sudden appearance of the violent fire of heaven and earth. Her eyes widened. It was as if she had seen a ghost in broad daylight. Chen Yuan was trembling with excitement. So, what the palace master said was true. 4 months ago, when he brought Yang Xiaoshan to the Divine Sword Academy, Yang Xiaoshan said that he could sense the fire of heaven and earth within 50 meters, but he still didn't believe it. What? Li Wen, Wu Qi, Feng Crossing, Imolinke, Peng Zhigang, Keheo and others who had just sat down stood up again, and were shocked when they saw the overwhelming fire of heaven and earth. Li Wen, Wu Qi, Feng Crossing, Imolinke and others were all the 4 great alchemists of the Divine Sea Kingdom. They could only drive the fire of heaven and earth within 50 meters. But Yang Xiaoshan actually did it. And it was so fast. Wu Qi, Liuan and others were also shocked when they saw the overwhelming fire of heaven and earth. I didn't expect the soul power of the young master to be so strong. Wu Qi was very relieved after being surprised. Young master's soul power is so strong. I'm afraid he will be able to refine a top grade foundation building spirit liquid. Liuan said. Wu Qi nodded. Yang Xiaoshan's face was normal, and he waved his right hand, and all the 14 kinds of medicinal materials on the ground fell into the medicine cauldron. Go. Looking at the overwhelming fire of heaven and earth, he pushed forward with both hands. The fire of heaven and earth poured into the medicine cauldron like waves. After each wave of fire of heaven and earth, the 14 kinds of medicinal materials in the medicine cauldron melted a little. After a few waves, the 14 kinds of medicinal materials had melted half. Seeing this scene, many pharmacists at the scene were shocked. It was the first time for them to see medicine being refined in this way. For them, the fire of heaven and earth was extremely difficult to drive. If they were not careful, they would lose control. However, now these fires of heaven and earth were so obedient, and were driven to the medicine cauldron by Yang Xiaoshan wave after wave, and not a single bit was leaked. Li Wen and Lin Yuan were also shocked by Yang Xiaoshan's technique. Although Yang Xiaoshan is not using the storm technique, he is using the most difficult wave pushing technique among the waves pushing techniques. Pushing waves melts the medicinal materials very quickly. However, it consumes a lot of soul power. Generally speaking, after 10 waves, one is exhausted and needs to change to another technique. However, they saw that after Yang Xiaoshan pushed more than 10 waves of the heaven and earth fire, there was no sign of exhaustion. After 20 waves of fire, the aroma of medicine began to spread in the medicine cauldron. After 30 waves of fire, Yang Xiaoshan suddenly stopped. The medicine cauldron was filled with the aroma of medicine, and everyone around the square smelled this charming fragrance. Is it done? Everyone couldn't believe it. Everyone stretched their necks to see if the foundation building spirit liquid was really refined in the medicine cauldron. Under the gaze of everyone, Lin Yuan jumped down from the rostrum again and walked towards the medicine cauldron in front of Yang Xiaoshan. Originally, there was an appraiser on the scene, and there was no need for Lin Yuan, the master of the medicine hall of Shenzhen City, to appraise, but Lin Yuan wanted to appraise it himself. He came to Yang Xiaoshan's medicine cauldron nervously, and then looked inside the medicine cauldron. He saw the ball of green liquid lying in the medicine cauldron. This ball of green liquid was so agile and so clear that there was no trace of impurities. It was like a ball of green elves. It even made people reluctant to disturb this ball of green elves. Lin Yuan was stunned, and then his heart beat wildly, and his hands trembled with excitement. As the master of the medicine cauldron hall of Shenzhen City, he had been refining medicine for decades, so how could he not judge the quality of the foundation building spiritual liquid in front of him? Seeing Lin Yuan's excitement, Li Yuan felt relieved. It seemed that the young master must have refined a top grade foundation building spiritual liquid. Everyone saw Lin Yuan looking at the medicine cauldron excitedly, but he didn't speak for a long time, which made everyone anxious. Peng Zhigang couldn't help but ask loudly, "Palace Master Lin, how is it?" Lin Yuan took a deep breath, looked at everyone, and tried to keep his tone less excited. "It's the best foundation building spiritual liquid." "What? The best foundation building spiritual liquid?" As soon as Lin Yuan said this, everyone on the scene went crazy. Peng Zhigang was stunned, Li Wen was stunned, Chen Long, Chen Zihan, Deng Yichen, Cheng Bibai and others were stunned. Wu Qi, Lin Yang, Chen Yuan, Chen Changqing and others were also stunned. Guzi of the ancient sword country, all the pharmacists, all the sword masters, all the masters who were not pharmacists and sword masters, were all stunned. This is impossible. Chenglong suddenly shouted, as if his tail was stepped on. He didn't believe that Yang Xiaoshan had refined the best foundation building spiritual liquid. Many people were also skeptical. After all, this was too hard for people to believe. You know, even the four great alchemists Li Wen, Wu Qi, Feng Crossing, and Emoling K did not dare to guarantee that they could refine the best foundation building spiritual liquid 100%. Lin Yuan glanced at the excited Chenglong and poured the foundation building spirit liquid from the medicine cauldron onto the prepared jade dish. When the foundation building spirit liquid dripped onto the jade dish, it was like pearls falling into a jade basin, and everyone's ears actually rang with a pleasant sound. The ball of foundation building spirit liquid reflected rays of light under the sunlight. Looking at the extremely clear foundation building spirit liquid on the jade dish, Chenglong's face was as hen. Now, no one doubted it anymore. However, everyone still couldn't hide their shock. Everyone knew that the top quality foundation building spirit liquid was extremely difficult to refine. Even Li Wen, the chief hall master of the medicine hall, found it difficult to refine it. He might even need to enter a state of emptiness to refine the top quality foundation building spirit liquid. But what about Yang Xiaoshan? Just now, Yang Xiaoshan easily refined a portion of the top quality foundation building spirit liquid. There was no need to enter a state of emptiness at all. Perhaps it was the influence of Yang Xiaoshan's superb foundation building spiritual liquid. After that, whether it was Chenglong, Chen Zihan, Deng Yichen, Hu Crossing and others, they all performed poorly in refining medicine. Even with the help of the cold spiritual bone fire, Chenglong's foundation building spiritual liquid was only of medium quality. Chen Zihan barely reached the medium quality, while Deng Yichen, Hu Crossing and others were even of low quality. Many other pharmacists were of inferior quality, and many even failed directly. In the second round, Yang Xiaoshan was naturally the first again. Next, it was the third round. The third round was free play. Whoever refined the highest grade and the best quality of the pill would be ranked the highest. Hearing that he could freely play in the third round, Chenglong's eyes were full of madness, and he took out dozens of medicinal materials. Seeing that Chenglong actually took out dozens of medicinal materials, everyone was in an uproar. Is the second prince going to refine the innate spiritual pill? Someone speculated. Yes, I want to refine the dragon tiger elixir, Chenglong said. He turned to look at Yang Xiaoshan and said harshly, Yang Xiaoshan, I don't believe that you can refine the Xianshan elixir. Although he was not sure that he could succeed 100%, he would try his best anyway. If he could refine the Xianshan elixir, he would be able to suppress Yang Xiaoshan and he would have a chance to win the first place in this pharmacist competition. Tomorrow, 3 more chapters. Chapter 90, Human and Tripod Unite. Hearing that Chenglong was really going to refine the Xianshan spirit pill, everyone was shocked. The second prince has Lord Jiangyu as his master. He has made rapid progress in refining medicine in the past 6 months. With the cold spirit bone fire, he may really be able to refine the dragon tiger spirit pill. Feng Crossing said with a smile. Wu Qi smiled and said, Lord Jiangyu praised the second prince highly. If the second prince wants to refine the dragon tiger spirit pill, it is still possible for him to succeed. Obviously, both of them believed that Chenglong could refine the dragon tiger spirit pill. If they had to choose between Yang Xiaoshan and Chenglong, they would naturally hope that Chenglong would win. Jiangyu had the grace of guiding them, and they were now working for the royal family of Shenhe Kingdom. Under the gaze of everyone, Chenglong summoned the grey-white cold spirit bone fire without saying a word. Seeing that Chenglong was going to refine the dragon tiger spirit pill, Chen Zihan gritted her teeth and took out dozens of medicinal materials for refining the dragon tiger spirit pill. Everyone was stunned when they saw this. Li Wen smiled when he saw this. This girl, her temper has not changed. She always likes to show off and never admit defeat. After Chen Zihan, Deng Yichen, Hu Crossing, Huang Tingting and others also took out the medicinal materials for refining the dragon and tiger elixir. Instead of admitting defeat, they might as well give it a try. If they give it a try, there is still hope of winning. They naturally don't want to lose to Yang Xiaoshan. Seeing that Chenglong, Chen Zihan, Deng Yichin and others all want to refine the Xianshan elixir. Yang Xiaoshan also took out the medicinal materials for refining the dragon and tiger elixir. Originally, Chen Long, Chen Zihan, Deng Yichin and others wanted to refine the Xianshan elixir, which was surprising enough. Now everyone saw that Yang Xiaoshan also wanted to refine the Xianshan elixir, and they couldn't help but be dumbfounded. What kind of thing is this? A group of 1-star pharmacists actually want to refine the Xianshan elixir. A newborn calf is not afraid of a tiger, Peng Zigan said with emotion on the rostrum. After Yang Xiaoshan took out the medicinal materials for refining the dragon and tiger elixir, he waved his hands, and the fire of heaven and earth surged. Chen Long, Chen Zihan, Deng Yichin, Hu Crossing and others still had hope. Now, he completely crushed the hope that everyone had. Looking at the surging fire of heaven and earth, Yang Xiaoshan flicked his finger, and a spark flew out, hitting one of the herbs on the ground with incredible accuracy. When the herbs flew up, Yang Xiaoshan kept flicking his fingers. Several more sparks flew out one after another. These sparks flew straight in a line and hit the flying herbs. Under the impact of several sparks, the herbs were constantly melted. This was not over yet. Yang Xiaoshan flicked his finger again. This time, 2 fingers flicked together, and suddenly, dozens of sparks flew out. The herbs were constantly hit, and brilliant sparks burst out. Everyone looked at each other. What kind of method is this? Wookie was confused and looked at Li Wen. Li Wen also looked confused. He had never seen this kind of medicine refining method. It didn't even require the help of medicine cauldron to melt the herbs. However, every time Yang Xiaoshan fired a spark, he hit the medicinal materials with great precision, and he controlled the intensity of the sparks just right, so that the medicinal materials were not burned. At first glance, it didn't seem like anything, but a closer look would make people marvel. At this time, the flying medicinal materials fell into the medicine cauldron, and when they fell into the medicine cauldron, they were completely melted into liquid by the sparks, fired by Yang Xiaoshan one after another. Then, Yang Xiaoshan used the same method to melt the second medicinal material. Then, the third, fourth, and fifth. Unknowingly, dozens of Chinese medicinal materials were all melted into liquid. Yang Xiaoshan clapped his hands, and dozens of sparks hit the medicine cauldron at the same time, and the medicine cauldron began to rotate. As it rotated, wisps of medicinal smoke floated out. Yang Xiaoshan's palms did not stop, and every time he clapped, dozens of sparks would hit the medicine cauldron. Dozens of sparks were like a meteor shower, which was pleasing to the eye from a distance. When they hit the medicine cauldron, the fire splashed, which was very gorgeous. In the medicine cauldron, medicinal smoke continued to float out. This unique method of refining medicine opened everyone's eyes. In Yang Xiaoshan's hands, refining medicine seemed to no longer be a hard work, but an art, a performance. But this performance was shocking. Li Yuan was one of the most famous alchemists in the Xiandao Empire, but it was also the first time he saw this method of refining medicine. He looked at his master inquiringly, but found that his master was also staring at Yang Xiaoshan. Wookie was indeed staring at Yang Xiaoshan intently. In his eyes, every move of Yang Xiaoshan was so natural and perfect. Yang Xiaoshan stood there, as if he had merged with the world, the medicine cauldron, and the fire of heaven and earth. In sword cultivation, there is a state of unity between man and sword, and in alchemy, there is also a state of unity between man and cauldron. In Wookie's eyes, Yang Xiaoshan is now unity between man and cauldron. Having reached the state of unity between man and cauldron, the method of refining medicine is no longer so important. Wookie has completely ignored everything in the outside world. In his eyes, there is only Yang Xiaoshan. Time seems to slow down. But when Yang Xiaoshan suddenly stopped, Wookie felt a sense of loss. He looked at Yang Xiaoshan again, and his eyes had completely changed. Before, even if Yang Xiaoshan had subdued the flame of the stars, he could not be convinced. Even if he knew that Yang Xiaoshan had comprehended the 100 swords and became the master of the sword hall, he was just amazed, not completely convinced. But now, Yang Xiaoshan's position in his heart has completely changed. He looked at Yang Xiaoshan, clenched his fists, and at this moment, he made a decision that made him feel lucky for the rest of his life. After Yang Zai Ocean stopped, the people around him were still immersed in the scene of Yang Zai Ocean's refining medicine just now, especially Li Wen, Wookie and others, who were still repeating the picture and action of Yang Zai Ocean's refining medicine just now. Watching Yang Zai Ocean refining medicine just now actually gave them a kind of enlightenment. An enlightenment that broke through the shackles. It was not until Yang Zai Ocean opened his mouth and asked the appraiser to identify the elixir that Li Wen and others woke up from the state that could only be understood but not expressed in words. This time, Lin Yuan personally helped Yang Zai Ocean identify it. When Lin Yuan came to the medicine cauldron, he was even more nervous and uneasy. When he looked into the medicine cauldron, he saw a crystal clear pill lying quietly inside the medicine cauldron. Inside the pill, there seemed to be the sound of dragons and tigers roaring. There were faint shadows of dragons and tigers. Lin Yuan's hands trembled, and under the gaze of everyone, he poured the pill in the medicine cauldron into the prepared jade dish. Dung. The jade dish made a crisp and moving sound. Li Wen, Wookie, Feng Crossing, Peng Zigang and others breathed hard when they saw the pill. Excellent quality, dragon and tiger spirit pill. The best quality is often unavailable. Excellent quality is almost the highest quality circulating on the market. When they saw Lin Yuan pour out the excellent dragon and tiger spirit pill, Chen Long, Chen Zihan, Deng Yichen, Hu Crossing and others were all in despair. The luck they had just survived in their hearts was completely shattered. Their faces were completely grey. The world was quiet. Master Yang. Master Yang. Suddenly, the teachers and students of the Divine Sword Academy raised their arms and shouted together. Their excited expressions were exactly the same as when Yang Zai Ocean comprehended the 100 swords. Chapter 91. How many secrets does Yang Zai Ocean have? God Yang. Guziai, the prince of the ancient sword kingdom, shouted with an extremely excited face. With twin super martial spirits, he comprehended the 100 swords and became the master of the sword hall of the Divine Sword Academy for hundreds of years. Now, he has even refined the high quality dragon tiger spirit pill. How could such a Yang Zai Ocean not be worshipped fanatically? God Yang. The sword masters and pharmacists of the ancient sword kingdom also joined the crazy shouting. At the scene, one sect after another, one family after another disciples were shouting excitedly. Even Lin Yang and Chen Yuan couldn't help shouting excitedly. Looking at Yang Zai Ocean in the field, the two were excited and proud. They were proud of being the Dean and Vice Dean of the Divine Sword Academy, and proud that Yang Zai Ocean was the master of the sword hall of their academy. They were even more proud that Yang Zai Ocean was introduced to the academy by them. Cheng Bibi was once again surrounded by the voice of God Yang. She stood there, staring at the high-quality dragon tiger spirit pill, muttering to herself, and it was unknown what she was saying. Yang Zai Ocean felt the enthusiasm of the people around him and listened to their excited shouts. He felt helpless. Fortunately, he deliberately lowered the quality of the dragon tiger spirit pill and only refined the superior quality, not the best quality. If he refined the best quality, who knows what would happen. If he refined the best quality, according to the current enthusiasm of the crowd, they might all rush up and crush him into a meat pie. The pharmacist competition is not over yet. However, Chen Long, Chen Zihan, Deng Yichen, Hu Crossing and others could not concentrate on refining the medicine. During the refining process, the operation frequently made mistakes. In the end, no one could successfully refine the dragon tiger spirit pill. Even Chen Long, who possessed the cold spirit bone fire, only refined a low quality dragon tiger spirit pill. Low quality, not up to standard at all. Looking at the black dragon tiger spirit pill in front of him, which had no fragrance of the pill at all, Chen Long was ashamed. Compared with Yang Zai Ocean's dragon tiger spirit pill, his dragon tiger spirit pill was so bad that people would mistake it for two different pills. Finally, the first place in the pharmacist competition was, without a doubt, Yang Zai Ocean. Li Wen handed the first place award of the pharmacist competition to Yang Zai Ocean. He looked at Yang Zai Ocean in front of him and was pleased and full of emotion. He smiled and said, "It won't be long before Yang Zai Ocean will become famous in my Kangshen continent." Now, the continent where Yang Zai Ocean is located is called Kangshen continent. The continent is vast and boundless, with dozens of empires, and there are countless imperial states and kingdoms, sects, and families under the empires. Master Li, thank you for your praise. Yang Xiaoshan took the award and said politely, the first place award of this pharmacist competition is quite generous, including a top grade dragon and tiger elixir, a recipe for refining an 8 elixir, a top level spiritual tool level cauldron, and 10 low grade spiritual stones. However, looking at these things, Yang Xiaoshan shook his head secretly. These things are good things for others, but for him, they are useless. Now, he swallows the top grade 4 elephant elixir. As for the cauldron, he can completely refine one, and it is a super spiritual tool level. The only thing that was useful to him was the 10 low grade spirit stones. Spirit stones are stones that condense the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. They can be used for direct cultivation, and are also one of the important currencies used by many chambers of commerce. One low grade spirit stone is worth 10,000 gold coins. Yang Xiaoshan put away the 10 low grade spirit stones, the elixir formula, and the cauldron. My friend, you have to come to the royal city early, and enter the medicine pool to practice. Li Wen reminded Yang Xiaoshan, fearing that he would forget. Entering the medicine pool to practice for 10 days is the first and most important reward of this pharmacist competition. However, the medicine pool is in the main hall of the pharmacist hall, so Yang Xiaoshan must go to the royal city of Shenhe Kingdom. Wait a few days. Yang Xiaoshan hesitated and said, to be honest, he is still very busy recently. He has to practice all the 100 swordsmanship to perfection, and he has to read the swordsmanship secrets, magical powers, and sword practice experience left by Kao-shun, and he has to train the 1000 slaves under his command. He also has to go to the Red Moon Forest to subdue the Mount Beast. Li Wen couldn't help but smile bitterly when he saw Yang Xiaoshan said that he would wait a few days before entering the medicine pool to practice. If others won the first place, they would be eager to enter the medicine pool to practice now, but Yang Xiaoshan had to wait a few days. These 2 months are when the medicine pool is the most potent. Please enter the medicine pool within 2 months to practice, otherwise the effect will be weakened a lot. Li Wen said. 2 months. Yang Xiaoshan listened and nodded. Then, under the different eyes of everyone, Yang Xiaoshan led everyone from the Excalibur Academy to leave the scene. Although the competition was over, the thousands of teachers and students of the Excalibur Academy followed behind Yang Xiaoshan, and they were still very excited, and each of them held their chests high. Even Liu King, Liu Kun and others who followed behind Yang Xiaoshan were also very proud. 8 and Ali were so excited that their faces were flushed. Chen Long looked at Yang Xiaoshan who left surrounded by teachers and students of the Excalibur Academy, and his eyes were also complicated. Yang Xiaoshan can refine the best dragon tiger spirit pill now. If nothing unexpected happens, he can refine the best dragon tiger spirit pill within 4 or 5 years. Although it is hard to believe, according to the terrifying talent for refining medicine that Yang Xiaoshan showed today, he can definitely refine the best dragon tiger spirit pill within 4 or 5 years. A pharmacist who can refine the best dragon tiger spirit pill will be the object of competition among all countries. Now, Yang Xiaoshan is a hot commodity. No, it is a super hot commodity. Hu Crossing's face is extremely ugly. Yang Xiaoshan's talent for refining medicine is as amazing as his talent for swordsmanship. This is something he had never expected before. He claims to be the #1 in the Divine Sword Academy. Whether it is the talent for swordsmanship or the talent for refining medicine, he is the #1. But since Yang Xiaoshan appeared, everything has changed. In today's pharmacist competition, he was ravaged by Yang Xiaoshan and was worthless. He, the former #1 in the academy, is simply chicken shit in front of Yang Xiaoshan. Yang Xiaoshan. He was filled with murderous intent. From today on, he had to do everything he could to kill Yang Xiaoshan. Otherwise, it won't be long before he will be the one to die. He once sent Deng Li to kill Yang Xiaoshan, and Yang Xiaoshan would never let him go. In the crowd, Yang Zhang looked at his cousin Yang Xiaoshan with mixed feelings. He always felt that Yang Xiaoshan made him feel unreal. A few months ago, his cousin had awakened the level 2 giant turtle martial spirit that everyone talked about. How come a few months later, the world suddenly changed? Finally, Yang Xiaoshan returned to the house. Originally, the teachers and students of the Divine Sword Academy were reluctant to leave, but Yang Xiaoshan persuaded them earnestly, and everyone returned to the Divine Sword Academy. Lin Yang, Chen Yuan, and Chen Shanqing did not leave, and Yang Xiaoshan took them to visit his mansion. After visiting Yang Xiaoshan's mansion, which was larger than the city lord's mansion, Lin Yang and Chen Yuan were quite surprised. They knew that Yang Xiaoshan lived outside the academy, but it was the first time they knew that Yang Xiaoshan lived in such a large mansion. They suddenly realized that they knew too little about Yang Xiaoshan. How many secrets does their sword hall master have that they don't know? Chapter 92, the second of the 10 major alchemy techniques. After visiting Yang Xiaoshan's residence, Lin Yang and Chen Yuan sat for a while and then said goodbye and left. After all, the academy still had many things that needed them to deal with, and they couldn't stay in Yang Xiaoshan's residence forever. When Lin Yang and Chen Yuan left, Yang Xiaoshan gave Lin Yang the top grade dragon tiger elixir, the top grade medicine cauldron, and the recipe for refining the Xianshan elixir, which was awarded by the competition. He asked the two to take it back to the academy. He had been looking through the secret books in the academy's library these days, and he couldn't just read them for nothing. Moreover, he was now the master of the sword hall, and it was necessary to improve the strength of the academy. As for how Lin Yang arranged these things, that was Lin Yang's business. Seeing that Yang Xiaoshan gave almost all the first prizes of the competition back to the academy, Lin Yang and Chen Yuan could not help but refuse. Lin Yang said, these things were obtained by the Hall Master with great difficulty, and the Hall Master also needs them. The academy cannot take them. Yang Xiaoshan shook his hand and smiled. I still have the best dragon and tiger elixir. As for the medicine cauldron, I have a super one. I also have this alchemy recipe. These things are useless to me. After thinking for a while, he took out another 20 portions of the best foundation building spirit liquid and gave them to Lin Yang, saying, these are the best foundation building spirit liquids I made in my spare time. Dean Lin can reward them to students who have made contributions to the academy in the future. Lin Yang and Chen Yuan looked at the 20 portions of the best foundation building spirit liquid in front of them and didn't know what to say. Thinking back to when the Feng'an Commercial Bank in Xingaiu City auctioned 14 portions of the best foundation building spirit liquid, they had been holding their breath to participate in the auction and competed with various forces. It was not easy to get 4 portions. Now, Yang Xiaoshan directly gave them 20 portions. I thank the Hall Master on behalf of all the students in the academy, Lin Yang said with gratitude. Yang Xiaoshan shook his hand and said, if you don't have enough of these top grade foundation building spiritual liquids in the future, you can tell me. The slaves under his command had already broken through to the innate realm, and these top grade foundation building spiritual liquids were no longer needed. Next year, he will enter the Xiandao Academy of the Xiandao Empire. This year, he will help the Divine Sword Academy as much as he can. Lin Yang and Chen Yuan opened their mouths and thanked Yang Xiaoshan again. The two of them returned to the Divine Sword Academy with the things Yang Xiaoshan gave them. Chen Shanqing, Hele, Ren Fixu and others left Yang Xiaoshan's mansion until late at night and returned to the sword hall. After Chen Shanqing and his companions left, Wuki brought 5 of his disciples to Yang Xiaoshan's courtyard and suddenly bowed deeply to Yang Xiaoshan and said, Wuki and his disciples will follow you forever. We are willing to serve you. Liyuan and his companions also bowed deeply. We are willing to serve you. Yang Xiaoshan looked at Wuki and Liyuan who bowed deeply in front of him, and he knew that from this moment on, the 6 of them would truly submit to him. Before, although Wuki and Liyuan said that they were willing to refine medicine for him for 10 years, they were not really convinced. He reached out and helped Wuki and his companions up, then took out 6 pills, told them that they were controlled pills, and asked Wuki and his companions to swallow them. Although Wuki and his companions said that they were willing to serve him, he needed their absolute submission. No one could guarantee that when Wuki and his companions learned that he had a Tangshan divine sword, they would have other intentions. After all, it was one of the 10 great divine swords. Wuki looked at Yang Xiaoshan's clear eyes, hesitated for a moment, and finally swallowed the pill. Liyuan and the others looked at each other, hesitated a little, but finally swallowed it. Seeing the 6 people swallow the pill, Yang Xiaoshan said, "I'm refining the medicine now, you stay and watch." Although Wookiee and the others were puzzled, they still agreed. Yang Xiaoshan took out the medicine cauldron and the medicinal materials for refining the four symbols elixir. Wookiee and the others originally thought that Yang Xiaoshan was going to refine the dragon and tiger elixir, but seeing that Yang Xiaoshan actually took out nearly 100 kinds of medicinal materials, they were very surprised. Young master is going to refine the four symbols elixir? Wookiee was surprised. Yang Xiaoshan opened his hand and saw the fire of heaven and earth surging. In today's pharmacist competition, he tried hard to suppress the power of his soul and only drove the fire of heaven and earth within a radius of 50 meters. But now, he no longer needs to suppress it, and his soul power is completely released. Seeing the heaven and earth fire that was even more terrifying and violent than the one in the pharmacist competition today, Wookiee, Liuan and the other 6 people's faces changed drastically. This, Liuan stuttered, and he looked at his master Wookiee. Even his master might not be able to drive such a terrifying and violent heaven and earth fire. Wookiee was also shocked. Originally, the heaven and earth fire driven by Yang Xiaoshan in the pharmacist competition today was enough to surprise him, but he didn't expect Yang Xiaoshan to suppress the soul power and suppress so much. He had read some stories about god-level pharmacists in the classics. Many god-level pharmacists were born with extremely strong soul power. However, even those god-level pharmacists who were born with extremely strong soul power were still dwarfed by their son. Yang Xiaoshan drove the heaven and earth fire unscrupulously, and with his hands waving, the heaven and earth fire turned into a mysterious fire pattern, and then the fire pattern enveloped all the medicinal materials. Under Yang Xiaoshan's control, the fire pattern slowly rotated, and all the medicinal materials on the ground were slowly sucked up. As the fire pattern rotated, streams of fire flowed out from the pattern. These streams of fire moved among all the medicinal materials. Affected by the temperature of the fire stream, the medicinal materials began to melt one by one. Seeing this scene, several people were extremely shocked. In today's pharmacist competition, Yang Xiaoshan's medicine refining skills were already magical enough, but the scene in front of him could no longer be described as magical. Wookiee's tongue was stiff. Medicine formation. What Yang Xiaoshan was performing in front of him was the medicine formation among the top 10 medicine refining techniques. The medicine formation ranks second among the top 10 medicine refining techniques. But it is many times more difficult than a violent storm. The fire of heaven and earth is extremely difficult to control. It is even more difficult to construct the fire of heaven and earth into a medicine refining array diagram. Even if it is constructed, it is difficult to drive the medicine refining array diagram. Because the medicine refining array diagram is extremely unstable, it will explode if you are not careful when driving it. However, Yang Xiaoshan controlled the fire diagram with ease and without any effort. Under the continuous refining of the fire diagram, nearly 100 kinds of medicinal materials melted one after another and then dripped into the medicine cauldron one by one in an orderly manner. Yang Xiaoshan removed the fire diagram, and suddenly, his whole body was surging with flames, and 9 golden flame phoenixes flew out. 9 phoenix golden flames. Seeing the golden flame phoenixes flying out of Yang Xiaoshan's body, Liuan and others cried out. Their young master actually subdued the 9 phoenix golden flames. The 9 phoenix golden flames swam around the medicine cauldron. Soon, the medicine cauldron was filled with the fragrance of the elixir and the brilliant light. With a hum sound, a pill flew out. Around the pill, there were actually the shadows of 4 divine beasts. The best 4 elephant elixir. Several people were stunned. It turned out that the best dragon and tiger elixir was really made by their young master. Seeing that the elixir was ready, Yang Xiaoshan took back the 9 phoenix golden flames. He asked Wookiee, Liuan and others to stay and watch him make medicine. In addition to wanting to completely impress them, he also wanted to help them improve their medicine making techniques. Now the amount of pills consumed in his house every month is an astonishing number, and he will have to have a few people to share the burden with him in the future. Chapter 93 Jiang Yu arrives. In the next 2 days, Yang Xiaoshan mainly practiced Tangshan sword technique and Beijian sword technique during the day. Occasionally, he would refine medicine. When refining medicine, he would let Wookiee, Liuan, Ali, Luo King and others watch. As the leader of a sect, Awakens' medicine refining skills were quite good, and he also had the strange fire black wine flame. While refining medicine, Yang Xiaoshan explained the key points of the technique to Wookiee and others. At night, Yang Xiaoshan practiced the beginning dragon technique. Sitting cross-legged on the cold jade bed, Yang Xiaoshan's black tortoise martial soul and black dragon martial soul devoured the 9-day spiritual energy. The black tortoise martial soul was even bigger. The black dragon martial soul also grew a lot bigger and coiled in the sky with amazing dragon power. As the beginning dragon technique was running, 28 dragons of true energy entangled around Yang Xiaoshan's body. Although Yang Xiaoshan mainly consolidated his foundation these days and was no longer in a hurry to break through, he still broke through to the 9th level of the innate realm steadily. He had condensed 28 dragons of true energy. Now, even Yang Xiaoshan himself was not very clear about how strong he was. The next day, the sun was shining. Yang Xiaoshan called Liao Kun, Zhang Jingrong and the other 5 people. "Young master, you want us to attack together?" Liao Kun, Zhang Jingrong and the other 5 were stunned. "You guys should attack with all your strength later, don't hesitate," Yang Xiaoshan said. He wanted to see how strong he was now. When he was at the peak of the 5th level of Xianshan, he could already kill Deng Yi, who was at the 10th level of Xianshan. Now, he should be able to deal with the 2nd or even 3rd level of Wu Wang, right? "Young master, this..." Liao Kun, Zhang Jingrong and the other 5 hesitated. Obviously, the 5 people were worried about hurting Yang Xiaoshan. Seeing the 5 people's hesitation, Yang Xiaoshan smiled and said, "Don't worry, you can't hurt me." After saying that, he suddenly flashed in front of Liao Kun and punched out. 9 extreme collapse. Yang Xiaoshan punched out 9 fist marks. 9 fist marks in a row. Liao Kun felt the terrifying power of Yang Xiaoshan's fist. His face changed drastically, and he raised his hand and punched. Boom. The 2 fists collided. There was a huge bang, deafening. Liao Kun felt a pain in his arm, and was shocked to retreat repeatedly, retreating more than 10 meters. Liao Kun left a row of deep footprints where he retreated, and the ground around the footprints had cracked in a turtle pattern. Not only Liao Kun himself, but also Zhang Jingrong and the other 4 were shocked. Although they had seen Yang Xiaoshan refining medicine, they had always been vague about Yang Xiaoshan's strength. Now they saw that Liao Kun, who was at the 3rd level of the King of Martial Arts, was actually beaten back by Yang Xiaoshan, and they couldn't help but be stunned. Especially Liao Kun himself. In his mind, their son might be strong, but at most, he was a little stronger than 8 Ali and the other 2. But now, he is more than a little stronger. You 5 should come together. After Yang Xiaoshan punched, he had a general understanding of his own strength. Just now, he used 90% of his strength. He still used the ordinary innate martial arts 9 extreme collapse. Liao Kun, Zhang Jingrong and the other 5 looked at each other and nodded. "Young master, let's attack," Liao Kun said, no longer hesitating, like a proud dragon, punching Yang Xiaoshan. Zhang Jingrong and the other 4 used swordsmanship. Swordsmanship is like rain, wind, thunder, and sun. The 4 swordsmanship is different. Facing the attacks of Liao Kun and Zhang Jingrong, Yang Xiaoshan did not use a sword. While shaking his body, he punched Liao Kun, and then fluttered like a weeping willow. Zhang Jingrong and the other 4 stabbed Yang Xiaoshan from 4 directions with their long swords, blocking all directions. However, while Yang Xiaoshan was fluttering, he actually conjured up 5 figures, dodging the attacks of Zhang Jingrong and the other 4 one by one. All those hit by Zhang Jingrong and the other 4 were Yang Xiaoshan's afterimage. After dodging the long swords of Zhang Jingrong and the other 4, Yang Xiaoshan used his fingers as a sword and struck out. 5 sword ki hit Liao Kun, Zhang Jingrong and the other 5 at the same time. The fight between the few people was extremely fast. People came and went in the martial arts field. In the blink of an eye, they had already exchanged more than 10 moves. In the dozen moves, Yang Xiaoshan used different moves every time he attacked. Sometimes the dragon blood fist, sometimes the cold nether palm, sometimes the spirit snake sword technique, and sometimes the earth sword. Liao Kun, Zhang Jingrong and the other 5 were all in the martial king realm, and they used all their skills, but every time they attacked, they were easily dodged by Yang Xiaoshan. However, Yang Xiaoshan's random attacks forced the 5 people to retreat again and again. It didn't take long for the 5 people to be forced to fight left and right by Yang Xiaoshan. Liu Kun, Zhang Jinggrang and the other 5 were getting more and more tired, but Yang Xiaoshan was always relaxed. After 100 moves, in the end, Liu Kun, Zhang Jinggrang and the other 5 were all knocked out by Yang Xiaoshan at the same time. Just as Yang Xiaoshan was sparring with Liu Kun, Zhang Jinggrang and the other 5, Chen Long was standing respectfully in front of a middle-aged man in a luxurious mansion in Shenzhen City. The middle-aged man was his master Jiang Yu. He was also one of the legendary pharmacists of the Xiandao Empire. Of course, he was also the overlord of the Xiandao Empire. Oh, this Yang Xiaoshan knows the 10 great alchemy techniques, storm, and rain. Jiang Yu was shocked. Originally, he thought that his disciple Chen Long would definitely win the first place in this Shenhe National Pharmacist competition, but he didn't expect that after he came to Shenzhen City today, his disciple told him that the winner was Yang Xiaoshan from Shenzhen Academy. And this Yang Xiaoshan actually knows the 10 great alchemy techniques, storm, and rain. Chen Long said, "Master, the technique of violent storm is extremely magical. When Yang Xiaoshan used it, nearly 200 medicinal herbs were all swept up by the violent wind, and then distributed in each layer of the violent wind according to the depth of color. Then Yang Xiaoshan flicked his 10 fingers, and in just a few breaths, he picked out all 14 kinds of medicinal herbs for the foundation building spirit liquid. At this point, he glanced at Jiang Yu, and then said, with master's level of medicine refining, if he can obtain the top 10 medicine refining techniques such as violent storm, he will definitely become the leader of the Xiandao Imperial Kingdom's pharmacist army. At that time, if master wants to take the position of the chief hall master of the Xiandao Imperial Kingdom's pharmacist hall, it will be a piece of cake." Chen Long's voice was extremely tempting. Jiang Yu's eyes were burning. As a pharmacist, it would be a lie if he didn't want to be tempted by the top 10 medicine refining techniques such as violent storm. Where does Yang Xiaoshan live now? Jiang Yu asked Chen Long. Chen Long was delighted when he heard his master's question, and quickly said, Yang Xiaoshan's residence is in Shenzhen City. He almost always lives in his residence and rarely goes back to Shenzhen Academy. Then he looked at the sky and said, now, he should be in the residence. Chen Long stood up and said, Master, I'll take you there. No need. Jiang Yu shook his hand and said, just find someone to take me there. Chen Long agreed, and then found a smart subordinate to take Jiang Yu there. Master, Yang Xiaoshan may have many masters around him. Maybe Chen Changqing and the other 5 are there. How about I send some more people to go with you? Chen Long said. Jiang Yu didn't care and said, although Chen Changqing and the other 5 are not weak, they are just chickens and dogs in my eyes. There is no need to mobilize a large number of people. I'm enough. Chapter 94, Martial Emperor Soul Ring. Chen Long watched Jiang Yu disappear at the end of the street and sneered, Yang Xiaoshan, this time, I don't think he will die. With his master's temper, after forcing Yang Xiaoshan to tell him about the violent storm technique, he will definitely kill Yang Xiaoshan. Led by Chen Long's men, Jiang Yu came to Yang Xiaoshan's house. Looking at the courtyard wall of Yang Xiaoshan's house extending all the way to the end of the street, Jiang Yu was surprised. Obviously, he didn't expect that Yang Xiaoshan's house would be so big. This kid looks rich. Jiang Yu said coldly, and then said to Chen Long's men, wait for me outside the house. After speaking, he stepped forward and knocked on the door of Yang Xiaoshan's house. He has always been a reasonable person. Generally, he would use courtesy before force. If Yang Xiaoshan knows what's good for him, both of them will be happy. If Yang Xiaoshan doesn't know what's good for him, don't blame him for using force. After Jiang Yu knocked on the door, a slave opened the door soon. I'm Jiang Yu, the legendary pharmacist of Xiandao Empire. I want to see Yang Xiaoshan. Go in and report. Jiang Yu said. The slave looked at Jiang Yu suspiciously. Since Yang Xiaoshan won the first place in the pharmacist competition, many people have come to visit Yang Xiaoshan in the past 2 days, and many of them claim to be legendary pharmacists. He asked Jiang Yu to wait for a while, and then went in to report. At this time, Yang Xiaoshan was refining medicine in the yard. Wu Qi, Liu and others were watching on the side. When they heard the report from their subordinates, they were stunned. Jiang Yu, Then they pondered for a moment and asked their subordinates to bring Jiang Yu in. Jiang Yu saw that the slave had gone and returned, but did not see Yang Xiaoshan, and his face sank. With his status, even if he went to the palace of Shenhe Kingdom, the king of Shenhe Kingdom would come out to greet him. Yang Xiaoshan actually put on airs to him. Jiang Yu followed the slave and entered the house. After entering the house, along the way, teams of Xianshan slaves were seen everywhere performing martial arts. There were even many slaves learning to refine medicine, and they were already quite good at it. Jiang Yu was surprised. Given time, these people would be of great use. He did not expect that Yang Xiaoshan had secretly trained so many people at such a young age. Seeing the slave leading him to the backyard, Jiang Yu asked, "Isn't your master in the main hall?" "The master is refining medicine in the backyard," the slave said. When Jiang Yu came to the backyard, he saw that the fire of heaven and earth, under the control of Yang Xiaoshan, turned into a whirlwind, which rolled up all the medicinal materials of the Four Elephants elixir. Then the fire of heaven and earth began to rotate regularly. Every time it rotated, one kind of medicinal material would be melted by the flame of the fire of heaven and earth. Looking at this magical scene, Jiang Yu was so fascinated that he forgot the purpose of coming here. Soon, nearly 100 kinds of medicinal materials were all melted and then dripped into the medicine cauldron like raindrops. Yang Xiaoshan stopped. Seeing Yang Xiaoshan stop, Jiang Yu came back to his senses. He looked at Yang Xiaoshan in front of him and actually had a heart of love for talent. "Are you Senior Jiang from Xiandao Empire? I wonder why Senior Jiang came here this time." Yang Xiaoshan clasped his fists and said. Jiang Yu looked at Yang Xiaoshan and said without further ado, "Yes, I'm Jiang Yu. Yang Xiaoshan, are you willing to become my disciple?" Yang Xiaoshan was stunned. Wookie, Liun and others who were watching Yang Xiaoshan making medicine nearby all looked over. "Thank you, Senior Jiang, for your kindness." Yang Xiaoshan shook his head. "I don't need to learn to make medicine from others for the time being. With his current level of medicine making, not to mention Jiang Yu, even many legendary pharmacists in the Dragon Empire cannot teach him. What he lacks now is only the improvement of his own strength and realm." Seeing Yang Xiaoshan's refusal, Jiang Yu shook his head and said, "I'm afraid it's not up to you." Yang Xiaoshan smiled when he heard it. "So, Senior Jiang wants to use force." Seeing Yang Xiaoshan smile, Jiang Yu smiled coldly and walked towards Yang Xiaoshan. "Yes, Yang Xiaoshan, today, you either worship me as your master and tell me about the violent storm, or you tell me about the violent storm after you have been tortured." Yang Xiaoshan looked at Jiang Yu with murderous intent on his face, but smiled and said, "It seems that I have to tell you about the violent storm today." Seeing that Yang Xiaoshan was still self-reliant, Jiang Yu sneered. "Yang Xiaoshan, do you think that, just because you are the master of the Sword Hall of the Divine Sword Academy, I dare not attack you? Let me tell you, in my eyes, the Divine Sword Academy is nothing. As for Chen Changqing and the other four, they are just chickens and dogs. I want to kill you, but it only takes one sword. Your life and death is only in my thought." At this point, Jiang Yu suddenly glowed with light, and a vast true essence roared out from his body. Behind him, a huge halo appeared. This halo was filled with amazing pressure, covering the entire yard. Under the influence of the halo pressure, the airflow in the entire yard even stagnated. Luoking, Liu-kun, Atali and others who were watching Yang Xiaoshan refining medicine on the side all changed their faces. Soul Ring. Martial Emperor. When the realm breaks through the Martial Emperor, the Martial Soul can absorb the soul of the Soul Beast and produce soul rings, and the ability of the Martial Soul is greatly improved. Therefore, having a soul ring is the characteristic of Martial Emperor. In front of them, the huge halo behind Jiang Yu is the soul ring. Luoking and others did not expect Jiang Yu to be a Martial Emperor. "That's right, Martial Emperor." Jiang Yu looked at Yang Xiaoshan, Luoking and others with disdain, and suddenly slapped Yang Xiaoshan with a palm. "No matter how talented you are, in my eyes, you are nothing but an ant now. Come here, kneel down." An amazing devouring force enveloped Yang Xiaoshan. Seeing that Yang Xiaoshan was about to be taken away by Jiang Yu, suddenly at this moment, an amazing force roared out from behind Yang Xiaoshan. In front of this amazing force, Jiang Yu's devouring force was like a chicken and a dog, and was destroyed inch by inch. Feeling the horror of this amazing force, Jiang Yu's face changed, and he suddenly slashed with the long sword in his hand, and suddenly, the sword light was everywhere. However, no matter how strong his sword light was, it was completely destroyed by this amazing force. This amazing force came to Jiang Yu in an instant with a momentum like a bamboo breaking bamboo, and Jiang Yu raised his sword to block it. Boom. He and his long sword were blown away, and Jiang Yu flew and rolled, fell to the gate of the yard, and hit the stone pier. The sudden change in front of them made Liu King, Liu Kun and others stunned. Everyone looked at Wookiee behind Yang Xiaoshan. Jiang Yu spit out blood, and looked at Wookiee with a wrinkled face, and a wooden stick in his hand in disbelief. This dying old man turned out to be an unparalleled strong man. Who is the senior? Jiang Yu asked, unable to hide the fear in his eyes. Little guy, your master is Wan Yi, right? I remember that your master brought you to my Wu temple to ask for elixirs. Wookiee said. Wu temple, asking for elixirs. Jiang Yu was shocked and recalled a scene from decades ago. You are Senior Wu? Jiang Yu's eyes widened. Wookiee looked at Jiang Yu with somewhat turbid eyes. Remember me, that's good. Then he said disdainfully, with your condition, you also want to accept my son as a disciple. Chapter 95. Underestimating the foundation of the Divine Sword Academy. Afterwards, Wookiee took a look at the spirit ring behind Jiang Yu and said, "Our 1,000-year spirit ring is just garbage. The spirit rings produced by the martial soul are different, because they devour spirit beasts of different ages. If a 10-year spirit beast is devoured, the spirit ring produced will be a white 10-year spirit ring. If a 100-year spirit beast is devoured, the spirit ring produced will be a yellow 100-year spirit ring. The spirit ring of Jiang Yu in front of him is a purple 1,000-year spirit ring. The older the spirit ring, the stronger the ability of the martial soul will be. Generally speaking, our 1,000-year spirit ring is not bad, but in Wookiee's eyes, it is garbage." Jiang Yu heard that the 1,000-year spirit ring that he was proud of became garbage in Wookiee's mouth, and his face was ugly, but he opened his mouth and didn't dare to say anything more. "Young master, how should we deal with this Jiang Yu?" Wookiee turned around and asked Yang Xiaoshan. Yang Xiaoshan thought for a while, gave Wookiee a pill, and asked him to feed it to Jiang Yu. Wookiee took the pill, came to Jiang Yu, and fed it to him. After Jiang Yu swallowed the pill, he felt something extra in his body. He was shocked and angry, staring at Yang Xiaoshan. "What did you give me to eat?" "Control pill." Yang Xiaoshan's face was indifferent. "If there is no antidote in the future, you will bleed from all 7 orifices and die, and when you die, your internal organs will rot, and you will be in great pain. Jiang Yu's face changed drastically. "Don't even think about preparing the antidote. This pill was made by me using a lost method. Only I know the antidote formula." Yang Xiaoshan said, "If you swallow the antidote carelessly, it may cause the toxicity of the pill to attack. Even if I don't save you, then I can't save you. Okay, you can go back. After half a year, you bring 100 high quality 4 elephant spirit pills to exchange for the antidote. Also, after you go out, it's best not to talk about what happened today. Otherwise, if I hear any gossip, you don't have to exchange the antidote." Hearing Yang Xiaoshan's words, Jiang Yu's face was ugly, angry, annoyed and furious. Half a year, he was asked to exchange 100 high quality 4 elephant spirit pills. Where could he find so many high quality 4 elephant spirit pills? Even if he, a legendary alchemist of the Xiandao Empire, did it himself, it would be difficult to refine 100 pills in half a year. Unless he refined it day and night, it would be possible to complete it. Yang Xiaoshan was using him as a beast to refine medicine. At this time, Chenglong was drinking tribute tea leisurely in the mansion. Just as he was waiting for good news from his master, he saw his subordinates running in a panic. He was about to speak when he saw Jiang Yu walking in. Jiang Yu's always white brocade clothes were actually stained with blood, and his hair was messy and extremely embarrassed. Chenglong was shocked. "Master, are you okay?" Jiang Yu shook his hand and was not even interested in speaking. "What about the violent storm?" Chenglong hesitated and asked. When Jiang Yu heard Chenglong mention the violent storm, the madness and anger in his heart suddenly erupted like a volcano. He slapped Chenglong in the face and beat Chenglong to fall out. Shut up. If it weren't for you, how could your master end up like this? Jiang Yu pointed at Chenglong angrily. In his opinion, if it weren't for Chenglong, how could he be so seriously injured? If it weren't for Chenglong, how could he be fed poison by Yang Xiaoshan and used like a cow or a horse by Yang Xiaoshan? Thinking of having to hand in 100 high quality 4 elephant spirit pills in half a year, he was furious. In fact, Chenglong had selfish motives, and he wanted to use his hand to get rid of Yang Xiaoshan. More importantly, if he got the storm technique, he would have the hope of learning storm technique in the future. Chenglong looked at Jiang Yu, who was angry and wanted to pinch him to death, and lowered his head, not daring to say anything. Get out. I need to rest. Jiang Yu asked Chenglong to get out. Chenglong bowed and retreated. After retreating, Chenglong touched the 5-finger handprint on his face with a look of hatred. However, he still couldn't help wondering who hurt Jiang Yu. Could there be a master stronger than Chen Changqing and the other 5 in the Divine Sword Academy? Although the matter of Jiang Yu was a secret, it was still spread. Many people who had the same idea about Yang Xiaoshan's violent storm were shocked. Many forces knew a rough idea of Jiang Yu's strength. Those who could hurt Jiang Yu must be at least in the martial emperor realm. It seems that many of us have underestimated the foundation of the Divine Sword Academy. In the city lord's mansion, Pengzagan sighed. I didn't expect that there is an emperor realm besides Kaoshan. However, although this person can hurt Jiang Yu, he can't kill Jiang Yu. It seems that his strength should be the first or second level of the martial emperor realm. His subordinates guessed. Pengzagan nodded. A month passed quickly. After the matter of Jiang Yu, fewer pharmacists came to visit Yang Xiaoshan under various names. During the day, Yang Xiaoshan, in addition to practicing swordsmanship, would go back to the sword hall to look through Kaoshan's swordsmanship secrets and magical powers. Sometimes he would take an hour out to instruct Wookiee and others in refining medicine. At night, Yang Xiaoshan worked hard to practice the dragon art. After the incident with Jiang Yu, Yang Xiaoshan became more aware of the importance of his own strength. Therefore, he spent 2 more hours every day practicing the dragon art. After a month, Yang Xiaoshan's 100 swordsmanship was finally fully practiced to perfection. He was already able to use 100 super long swords to attack with 20 sets of swordsmanship at the same time. At the same time, he had read through the swordsmanship secrets and magical powers left by Kaoshan in the sword hall, and his own realm had also broken through the 10th level of the innate, even though Liao Kun had broken through the 4th level of the martial king. Now, with only one hand, only 90% of his strength, and only ordinary innate martial arts, he could easily defeat Liao Kun, Zhang Jinggrang and the other 5. Martial King Realm. At night, Yang Xiaoshan said to himself, now, he is not far from the Martial King Realm. As long as he breaks through the Martial King Realm, he can practice various magical powers, and his strength will surely soar. The most important thing is that when he breaks through the Martial King Realm, the innate true ki will transform into liquid true essence, and he will be able to refine elixirs of the treasure pill level. The effect of the treasure pill is many times better than the innate elixirs such as the 4-symbol spirit pill. With the treasure pill, the strength of his subordinates will be able to improve rapidly. Therefore, he decided to go to the King City tomorrow and practice in the medicine pool. The medicine pool was born from the essence of heaven and earth. He entered it to practice for 10 days, and maybe he could use it to break through the Martial King Realm. The next day, Yang Xiaoshan set off early and went to the King City. However, this time, he did not bring Liao Kun and others, only Wookiee and Luo King. For him, Wookiee and Luo King were enough. Too many people would attract more attention. The 3 of them traveled quickly all day and stopped to rest when they passed some kind of deserted village at night. Shenjian City is not far from the King City of Shenhe Kingdom. At the speed of the 3 people, they should be able to arrive tomorrow afternoon. The bonfire was lit, and the 3 of them sat around the bonfire, grilling meat, drinking and chatting. At this time, a team of merchants passed by. Judging from their appearance, they are a caravan from Fengan Trading Company. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel. Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 96 3 Parallel Imports. What surprised Yang Xiaoshan was that the leader of this Feng'an merchant's caravan was Wen Jinggai. Wen Jinggai wore a black brocade robe and rode a dragon horse. Her fair skin was particularly conspicuous under the moonlight. Whether in Xingqiu City or Shenzhen City, her performance was particularly dazzling. Therefore, Feng'an merchants called her back to the head office to resume her duties. Of course, this time when she returned to the royal city, she escorted a batch of goods back to the royal city. Recalling her changes in the past few months, Wen Jinggai was filled with emotion. If it weren't for Lord Long, she would not have been able to return to the head office so quickly to resume her duties. This time when she returned to the head office, she certainly did not simply resume her duties, but joined the Elders Council. At her age, joining the Elders Council is absolutely amazing. She will become the youngest elder in the history of Feng'an merchants. She is extremely grateful to Lord Long. Sir, it's getting late. Should we rest here for a night? Wen Qiulan, the manager of Feng'an merchants, said behind Wen Jinggai. Wen Jinggai nodded and asked everyone to rest on the spot. She saw Yang Xiaoshan and the other two people grilling and drinking around the campfire in the distance. She hesitated for a moment and walked over. My lord, be careful. Wen Qiulan saw this and said, these three people are of unknown origin. Wen Jinggai shook her hand and said, it's okay. Then she came to the campfire of Yang Xiaoshan and the other two, and clasped her fists and said, I'm Wen Jinggai from Feng'an Trading Company. I wonder if I can come over and ask for a drink with you three. It was the first time that Yang Xiaoshan saw Wen Jinggai's generous side. He smiled and said, aren't you afraid that we will poison the wine and rob your goods? Then he glanced at Wen Qiulan in the distance. Wen Jinggai joked, if they want to rob the goods, they won't send a child to rob them. If they really do, then I'm lucky. Yang Xiaoshan smiled and pointed to an empty seat next to the campfire. Thank you. Wen Jinggai sat down in the empty seat. Yang Xiaoshan recognized Wen Jinggai, but Wen Jinggai didn't recognize Yang Xiaoshan. After sitting down, she looked at Yang Xiaoshan and the other two curiously. An old man who was about to die, a middle-aged man with great power, and a cute child. This combination was a bit strange. What was even more strange was that Yang Xiaoshan was obviously the main one among the three. She looked at Yang Xiaoshan's cute and good-looking face, and asked with a smile, where are you going, young master? The royal city. Yang Xiaoshan did not hide it, and then took out a bottle of wine, and threw it to Wen Jinggai. Wen Jinggai hesitated for a moment, then drank it openly. Suddenly, she only felt a fragrance in her teeth. This fragrance was different from the ordinary wine fragrance, and after drinking it, her whole body was warm. She glared at Yang Xiaoshan and asked, young master, what kind of wine is this? So delicious. When she was in charge of Xingqiu City and Shenzhen City business, she sometimes had to drink at social events, and she had some knowledge of wine, but she had never heard that Shenhe country had this kind of wine. I brewed it myself. Yang Xiaoshan smiled and said, drinking it often can strengthen your body and beautify your face. He added dozens of medicinal herbs to the wine. They were all prepared using ancient methods. It can strengthen the body, improve the true ki, and of course, it does have a beauty effect. When Wen Jinggai heard that this wine can also beautify the face, her eyes lit up and she smiled. It can also beautify the face. Then I have to drink this wine little by little. When she smiled, her eyes became moon-shaped. If this wine of yours can really beautify the face, then it is the only wine in our Shenhe country that can beautify the face. If you open a restaurant and specialize in this kind of wine, it will definitely be a big hit. Yang Xiaoshan smiled. This wine uses dozens of medicinal materials, and the price is not cheap. Even ordinary nobles can't afford it. Therefore, it is not feasible to make money from this wine. However, Wen Jinggai's words gave him some inspiration. Perhaps, he can brew another kind of wine that is not so expensive, and has beauty and strengthening effects, and then open a restaurant to sell it. Although he is not short of money now, he has more people under him, and the expenses in all aspects are too high. He can't let him keep refining medicine and selling money to maintain the expenses. Opening a restaurant is also a way to make money. Young master looks familiar. I seem to have seen you somewhere before. When Jingai suddenly laughed, the child in front of her did give her a familiar feeling. It seemed that she had seen him somewhere before. Yang Xiaoshan laughed and said, I'm from Shenzhen City. I used to sell things at Feng'an business in Shenzhen City. When Jingai suddenly realized and laughed, so you are from Shenzhen City. I said that I seemed to have seen you somewhere before. She didn't think much about it. However, after hearing that Yang Xiaoshan was from Shenzhen City, when Jingai felt more friendly. Just as when Jingai and Yang Xiaoshan were chatting happily, suddenly, a scream rang out, and a large number of sharp arrows were shot out from the weeds in the distance. Enemy attack. When Qiulan's face changed, and she shouted in shock, hurry up and protect. All the guards of Feng'an business suddenly stood up, and waved their swords together. When Jingai was also startled, and stood up, and drew her sword, to cut off several sharp arrows. At this time, another large number of sharp arrows shot out from the weeds, but no enemy was seen. When Qiulan angrily said, who is it? Get out of here. At the same time, she pointed the long knife in her hand at Yang Xiaoshan and the other two. Our company's whereabouts are secretive. You must have followed us all the way, and leaked our whereabouts. You are in the same group with them. Yang Xiaoshan glanced at the other party's chest and said, think before you speak, otherwise, you are just big-breasted and brainless. When Qiulan was so angry that her chest trembled. After more than a dozen rounds of sharp arrows, more than 30 people from Feng'an Company were injured. At this time, the people hiding in the dark came out. There were many people on the other side, about 50 or 60 people. Seeing the other party's dress, when Jingai's pretty face changed, Blood Knife Gang. Yang Xiaoshan was also a little surprised to see that it was the Blood Knife Gang. This time when he entered the royal city, he was thinking about going to the Blood Knife Gang's nest to find another Xian Long sword. Unexpectedly, he met the Blood Knife Gang here. A leader of the Blood Knife Gang with a scar on his face came out with a big knife in his hand. He looked at Wen Jingai and Wen Qiulan and smiled. I didn't expect there would be two beautiful ladies. It seems that the brothers will have a good time tonight. Wen Qiulan was so angry that her face turned red. You Blood Knife Gang are very brave, but you know that we are from Feng'an Commercial Bank. The scarred leader rolled his eyes and laughed dryly. I will let you know that our brothers in the Blood Knife Gang are not only brave, but also have other things. The Blood Knife Gang members laughed. He jumped up with a knife and chopped at Wen Jingai and Wen Qiulan. At the same time, he said to his men, you guys go over and deal with those three fakes. He meant Yang Xiaoshan, Wookie and the other two. Fakes? Hearing the other party calling the three of them fakes, Yang Xiaoshan smiled, raised the fire stick in his hand, and turned it into a stream of light, and a Blood Knife Gang member who was walking over was instantly pierced in the chest. Chapter 97. What are you thinking about, little guy? Kill him. After the fire stick pierced the Blood Knife Gang member, Yang Xiaoshan's indifferent voice floated out. Awakens, who had been sitting there, suddenly floated up, and a big knife appeared in his hand. Suddenly, the knife energy illuminated the deserted village. The other Blood Knife Gang members who were originally going to deal with Yang Xiaoshan and the other two felt thousands of knife energy in front of them, and then they lost consciousness. After a short pause, they fell to the ground straight. When they fell, blood columns on their bodies spurted out at the same time, and the surrounding weeds were all covered with blood. Hearing the screams, Wen Jingai, Wen Qiulan, and the Blood Knife Gang members all looked over and were stunned when they saw the sudden change in front of them. Leave him alive and kill the others. Yang Xiaoshan pointed at the scarred leader and said to Awakens, yes, young master. Awakens responded. His figure floated, and in the blink of an eye he came to the Blood Knife Gang members. Then, the knife in his hand fell. The knife rose and fell again. There was no blood. There was not even a scream. Awakens was too fast, and his knife was even faster, as fast as lightning. The Blood Knife Gang members could not see Awakens and his knife at all. Retreat. The scarred leader shouted in shock and anger, and at the same time, he slashed at Awakens with his big knife. But his knife could not hit Awakens at all, and it fell on the open ground, causing the sand to fly. When he was about to use his knife again, He felt a flash of knife light in front of his eyes, and his hand holding the knife felt painful. Awakens' knife was already on his forehead. You. The scarred leader was shocked and angry. Just as he was about to speak, he saw that the blood knife gang members he brought with him suddenly fell to the ground one after another, and blood kept coming out of his throats. No one was lucky enough to escape. All were killed by a knife. When Keulen and others were stunned, they could see that these blood knife gang members were all born with the first class skills in ordinary towns, but now, in a few breaths, they were all killed. Is it the king of martial arts? Or the martial sect? When Jingai looked at King in shock, the middle-aged man who just sat beside her without saying a word turned out to be such a strong man. At this time, King Deo turned, and the handle of the knife hit the scarred leader's chest. The scarred leader was hit and flew to the campfire. He glared at Yang Ocean behind the campfire. Boy, which family are you from? Do you know what the consequences are of ruining our blood knife gang's good deeds? Yang Ocean did not answer, but took out the Cheyenne long knife. Do you recognize this knife? Residual blood knife. The scarred leader was shocked. Residual blood knife. Yang Ocean was stunned. Then he realized that the members of the blood knife gang did not know the true origin and name of this knife, so they named it residual blood knife. There is another residual blood knife. Is it also in your blood knife gang? Who has it? Yang Ocean asked. The scarred leader sneered. It turns out that our young leader died in your hands. You are dead. Before, their young leader entered the Red Moon Forest and disappeared. These days, they have been looking for the whereabouts of their young leader and the murderer. Yang Ocean was too lazy to ask any more questions. He swung the Cheyenne longsword in his hand and shot it directly at the opponent's throat. Then, Yang Ocean took the Cheyenne longsword back. This Cheyenne longsword was indeed left by the ancient Dragon Clan strongman. It was extremely sharp, and there was no blood after it was taken back. After dealing with the scarred leader, Yang Ocean asked King to search the bodies of the blood knife gang. He only found some gold coins and healing medicine, nothing valuable. When Jingai took a break, came to Yang Ocean, clasped her fists and smiled. Jingai thanks you for your help. If it weren't for you, Jingai would not be able to return to the royal city today. Yang Ocean shook his head and smiled. You're welcome. It's common for a hero to save a beauty. When Jingai couldn't help but laugh when she heard this. This little guy, a hero saving a beauty, is really a little devil. In fact, how could she know that this little guy in front of her, who was only 8 or 9 years old, actually had a soul in his 20s? Before his soul was reincarnated, Yang Ocean was a descendant of the Wudang sect and was already in his 20s. When Jingai laughed, her laughter was very pleasant, like a bell, and her beautiful eyes were even more curved, with a kind of dark temptation. Sir, since you are also going to the royal city, why don't we go together tomorrow? When Jingai smiled. Okay. Yang Ocean smiled and said, as long as you are not afraid that I will leak your whereabouts to the blood knife gang, I don't mind traveling with a beautiful woman. When Jingai smiled delicately, sir, you are joking. It was Keulen who was reckless just now. I offended you with my words. Please don't blame me. Then she asked when Keulen to apologize to Yang Ocean. When Keulen stepped forward and apologized to Yang Ocean, but her expression was a little reluctant. Yang Ocean did not look at Wen Keulen, but looked at Wen Jingai and smiled. You are still pleasing to the eye. Wen Jingai smiled again with curved eyes. Wen Keulen was so angry that her chest was shaking. Yang Ocean undoubtedly said that he didn't like her. Afterwards, when Jingai sat down by the campfire, after the incident with the blood knife gang, the two chatted more closely. Wookie didn't speak, but a kind smile hung on his wrinkled face. Although when Jingai had never seen Wookie take action, after what happened just now, she didn't dare to treat the dying old man in front of her as an ordinary old man. She became more and more curious about Yang Ocean. This little kid, who was so smart, didn't know where he came from, but there was such a strong man following him. Could he be a member of a certain royal family? The two chatted until late at night. Then they went to sleep. Yang Ocean sat there cross-legged, meditating and regulating his breathing. The firelight illuminated his young face. The night gradually passed. At dawn, Yang Ocean and others set off. Seeing that Yang Xiaoshan and his companions were walking, Wen Jinggai asked Feng Gan business to give 2 horses to Wuqi and Luoking. As for Yang Xiaoshan, she smiled and said, "Sir, if you don't mind, ride on the same horse with me." Yang Xiaoshan was surprised. "Riding on the same horse with you? This is not good, right? Sir, do you mind?" Wen Jinggai blinked her beautiful eyes. Yang Xiaoshan shook his head. Since she had said so much, he shouldn't mind. Then, Wen Jinggai sat in front holding the horse rope, and Yang Xiaoshan sat behind her. Wen Jinggai had a faint body fragrance, which was very pleasant. "Sir, you should hold me. The dragon horse will be a little bumpy when it runs." After walking for a while, Wen Jinggai smiled at Yang Xiaoshan. Yang Xiaoshan looked at Wen Jinggai's slender waist that could be held in one hand and hesitated. He could see that she was still an unmarried girl. Wen Jinggai looked back and gave Yang Xiaoshan a look with her beautiful eyes, very coquettishly. "What are you thinking about, little guy?" For some reason, she felt very close to Yang Xiaoshan in front of her. When she looked closely, she found that Yang Xiaoshan's skin was really good. Could it be because he often drank the wine last night? Chapter 98. We don't have to do anything. In fact, Wen Jinggai really misunderstood Yang Xiaoshan. The reason why Yang Xiaoshan's skin is so good is not because of the wine last night, but because he often drinks the thunder water of heavenly tribulation. The thunder water of heavenly tribulation can cleanse the tendons and marrow. To put it bluntly, it is to detoxify. It not only removes impurities from the internal organs, but also removes impurities from the muscles and skin. After drinking so much thunder water of heavenly tribulation, Yang Xiaoshan's skin is of course good. Of course, his skin is not just good. After the thunder water of heavenly tribulation cleanses the tendons and marrow, and strengthens the body, coupled with the continuous awakening of the power of the true dragon, his skin is extremely tough. Now, he stands there, and allows a group of martial kings of the 1st, 2nd, or even 3rd levels, to chop him with super spiritual weapons, and he will be fine. The dragon horse ran very fast. Yang Xiaoshan's little hand was holding Wen Jinggai's small waist. Very soft and smooth. Yang Xiaoshan was distracted. "Young master," Wen Jinggai suddenly said, "your skin is so good. Is it because of the wine last night?" Yang Xiaoshan didn't expect Wen Jinggai to suddenly ask this, and he didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Not entirely. Yang Xiaoshan said, "I have drunk the treasures of heaven and earth." Then he said, "But that wine does have a beauty effect." Wen Jinggai suddenly asked again, "Sir, what are you going to do in the royal city?" Yang Xiaoshan did not hide it. "To the main hall of the pharmacist hall." To the pharmacist hall? Wen Jinggai thought it was novel that Yang Xiaoshan, an 8 or 9-year-old child, went to the pharmacist hall, and smiled and said, "Why are you going to the pharmacist hall? To buy medicinal materials?" Yang Xiaoshan nodded. "I guess so. I'm a pharmacist." This time when he entered the main hall of the pharmacist hall, in addition to practicing in the medicine pool, he also planned to purchase a batch of medicinal materials for refining treasure pills. He is now at the 10th level of the innate realm. After practicing in the medicine pool, even if he can't break through to the martial king realm, he should be close. Now, he has to prepare the materials for refining treasure pills first. After all, other pharmacist halls don't have the materials for refining treasure pills, and only the main hall in Shenhe Kingdom has them. When Wen Jinggai heard Yang Xiaoshan say that he was a pharmacist, she smiled even more. "Little guy, you are a pharmacist, I can't tell. Then next time, can you sell the elixirs you refine to our company?" Yang Xiaoshan knew that Wen Jinggai didn't believe it, so he smiled and said, "Sure. Next time, when he refines a top grade elixir, he will sell it to Wen Jinggai." Wen Jinggai looked back and saw Yang Xiaoshan's serious look and smiled and said, "That's a deal. It's a deal." Yang Xiaoshan smiled. The two chatted happily. From south to north. Then from west to east. From Shenhe Kingdom to Xiandao Empire. Unknowingly, they arrived at the royal city. Seeing Yang Xiaoshan get off the dragon horse, Wen Jinggai felt a sense of loss. She looked at Yang Xiaoshan and smiled and said, "How long have you been in the royal city? If you have time, come to Feng'an business to find your sister." Then she gave Yang Xiaoshan an identity card. Let Yang Xiaoshan come to her with the identity card in the future. Chatting along the way, she had changed her name to Yang Ocean. Okay. Yang Xiaoze put away his ID card and said. When Jingai left with the people from Feng'an Trading Company and gradually disappeared in the crowd. When Jingai disappeared at the end of the street, Wookie joked, "This girl is not bad." Yang Ocean smiled and said, "What are you thinking, old man? She is 10 years older than me. 10 years older is not a problem." Luo King also smiled at this time. Many Emperor Realm Masters form partners with a difference of several dozen years. Once you break through the Emperor Realm, your whole body will transform, and your vitality will be strengthened. Living for 200 years is not a problem. When you reach the Emperor Realm, age is not too important when forming a partner, so a difference of 20 or 30 years is normal. Seeing Luo King also come out to make trouble, Yang Ocean shook his head and didn't want to say more on this issue. He said, "Let's go to the main hall of the Pharmacist Hall first." The three of them asked about the location of the main hall of the Pharmacist Hall and went to the main hall of the Pharmacist Hall. Just as Yang Ocean and the other two were heading to the main hall of the Pharmacist Hall, when Jingai and the others returned to the headquarters of the company. After Wen Qiulan separated from Wen Jingai, they walked through several alleys and entered a mansion. Inside the mansion, Wen Jingtao listened to Wen Qiulan's report with a gloomy face and kneaded the jade cup into powder. The Blood Sword Gang is a bunch of trash. They can't even deal with a woman. This time, Wen Jingai was transferred back to the head office and was going to join the Elders Council, which was naturally not what he wanted to see. He revealed Wen Jingai's itinerary to the Blood Sword Gang and wanted to use the Blood Sword Gang to deal with Wen Jingai, but he didn't expect that the Blood Sword Gang failed. "Do you know the origin of that kid?" Wen Jingtao asked Wen Qiulan. He sent Wen Qiulan to Wen Jingai. Wen Qiulan shook her head. "I don't know. He said he was from the Divine Sword City. I don't know if it's true or not." Divine Sword City? Wen Jingtao was puzzled. "This kid ruined our good thing. He is now in the King's City. Should we send someone to kill them?" Wen Qiulan said hatefully. When she thought of Yang Ocean saying that she had big breasts and no brains, she wanted to beat the boy to death. Wen Jingtao sneered, "We don't need to do anything. Just pass on his news to the Blood Knife Gang." "You said he killed the young leader of the Blood Knife Gang, right?" The old man has a violent temper. If he knew that the murderer of his son was in the royal city, he would probably turn the royal city upside down. "Let's just sit and watch the show." Yang Ocean and the other two followed the flow of people and came to the main hall of the Pharmacist Hall. As the main hall of the Pharmacist Hall, it was built in a magnificent and grand manner. Like the Pharmacist Hall of the Divine Sword City, the gate was not guarded. Yang Ocean and the other two walked into the main hall. What surprised Yang Ocean was that there was a group of pharmacists gathered in the hall to watch a 2-star pharmacist making medicine. Seeing the exciting part, many pharmacists applauded. Yang Ocean took a look and shook his head. This 2-star pharmacist was refining the Dragon Tiger Spirit Pill. His technique was quite smooth, but the fire of heaven and earth he controlled was not very stable. The quality of the Dragon Tiger Spirit Pill he would refine would definitely not be higher than the middle grade. The 2-star pharmacist was refining medicine when he saw a child coming in and shaking his head. His face darkened and he stopped. "Whose child are you from? Who let you in?" Yang Ocean heard this and said, "It is a rule in the Pharmacist Hall that children cannot come in." The 2-star pharmacist heard this and his face turned cold. He was about to scold him, but he saw an old man wearing a 3-star pharmacist's uniform walking in. When he saw Yang Ocean, he was surprised and said, "Young friend Yang." The person who came was Li Wen, the chief hall master of the Pharmacist Hall. Everyone was about to salute Li Wen, but they were all shocked to hear Li Wen enthusiastically calling the child young friend Yang. "God Yang." A pharmacist reacted and looked at Yang Ocean excitedly. The pharmacists reacted one after another and were all very excited. Since the end of the pharmacist competition, all the pharmacists in Shenhe country have been extremely fanatical about Yang Ocean. The 2-star pharmacist trembled and said, "Are you young Master Yang?" Chapter 99 Yang Linger's martial soul awakens. Yang Ocean looked at the excited pharmacists in front of him and nodded. "I'm Yang Ocean." The 2-star pharmacist said in fear, "God Yang, I'm Fu Zhen. I didn't know it was you just now." When he was excited, he was a little incoherent. Yang Xiaoshan shook his hand and smiled. It's okay. Then he smiled at Li Wen. Master Li, I don't know where the medicine pool is. Can I go into the medicine pool to practice now? When he was in Shenzhen City, he didn't care about the medicine pool, but now that he was in the main hall of the pharmacist hall, he couldn't wait to enter the medicine pool to practice. Okay, Yang Xiaoyao, I will take you into the medicine pool now. Li Wen understood Yang Xiaoshan's mood and smiled, then took Yang Xiaoshan and the other two to the inner hall. Until Yang Xiaoshan's figure disappeared, the pharmacists in the hall were still excited. Especially the two-star pharmacist, he was even more regretful. After passing through the palaces of the pharmacist hall, several people came to a gate. The gate was closed, and there were complicated runes on it. Li Wen circulated his true energy and slowly pushed the gate open. After the door was opened, there was a medicine pool of 100 square meters. The medicine pool was emerald green, like a huge piece of jasper. Even standing outside the door, one could smell the very pleasant fragrance. This smell was the unique smell of the essence of heaven and earth gathered in the medicine pool. Friend Yang, you can enter the medicine pool now. I will call you again in 10 days, when the door is closed. Li Wen smiled at Yang Xiaoshan. Yang Xiaoshan nodded and walked towards the medicine pool. The door began to close. Wookie and awakens stood outside the door. Yang Xiaoshan came to the center of the medicine pool, sat cross-legged, and unceremoniously operated the dragon technique. Suddenly, the surging energy of the essence of heaven and earth in the medicine pool poured into Yang Xiaoshan's body, and the speed was so fast that it was astonishing. From a distance, these essences of heaven and earth formed a huge vortex, and Yang Xiaoshan was soon submerged by the huge vortex. While Yang Xiaoshan was devouring the essence of the world in the medicine pool, in Xingyu City, Yang Chao and Huang Ying were leading Yang Linga to awaken her martial soul. Yang Linga stood in the magic circle in the square and felt very warm. As everyone watched, suddenly, a phoenix cry resounded through the world. A huge colorful phoenix appeared above Yang Linga's head. An astonishing pressure enveloped the world. In the square, whether it was the masters who presided over the magic circle or other family masters, they were all shocked. This is a phoenix. 9-color phoenix martial soul. It's a 9-color phoenix. 14th level martial soul. The square exploded immediately. Everyone was extremely excited. 14th level martial souls are extremely rare in the entire Shenlong Empire, not to mention the Shenhe Kingdom. The nervous Yang Chao and Huang Ying were also stunned. Then, the two of them excitedly clasped their hands together, with tears in their eyes. Their daughter awakened a 14th level 9-color phoenix martial soul. The 14th level is even more amazing than the 11th level martial soul awakened by their son. God bless a Yang family. Yang Chao's lips trembled. Their son was a great surprise to them, but they didn't expect their daughter to be an even bigger surprise. Just when everyone was surprised by Yang Linga's awakened 9-colored phoenix martial spirit, suddenly, a figure broke through the air from the crowd and stabbed Yang Linga with a sword. This sudden scene startled everyone. The excited Yang Chao and Huang Ying's faces changed drastically. Yang Chao rushed forward angrily, trying to stop him, but the opponent was too fast and his strength was far superior to his. The long sword instantly stabbed in front of Yang Linga's chest. Seeing that the man's long sword was about to pierce Yang Linga's chest, everyone thought that Yang Linga was going to die, but suddenly, a long sword broke through the air from the crowd and shot directly at the assassin. The assassin was startled, and in a panic, he didn't care about Yang Linga, and turned to avoid it, but he was still stabbed in the ribs by the stabbing long sword. At this time, 5 figures broke through the air. They were Liao Kun, Zhang Jinggrang and 5 others. The 5 of them slapped the assassin with one palm at the same time, knocking him out. Who are you? The assassin was slapped away, spitting blood from his mouth, shocked and angry. Who are we? Liao Kun sneered. We should ask you this question. It turned out that when Yang Xiaoshan, Wookie and Liu King went to the royal city, they were worried about the family members in Xingyu City, so they sent Liao Kun, Zhang Jinggrang and 5 others over. The assassin suddenly turned around and fled towards the crowd. However, how could Liao Kun and 5 others let him escape? The 5 people jumped up and stopped him. 10 days passed in the blink of an eye. 10 days later, Li Wen came to open the door of the medicine pool on time. However, when he opened the door of the medicine pool and saw the scene in front of him, he was stunned. Yang Xiaoshan was still sitting cross-legged in the medicine pool, but the medicine pool that was originally a pool of the essence of heaven and earth had become dry. Here. Li Wen pointed at the medicine pool. In just 10 days, Yang Xiaoshan had almost completely devoured the essence of heaven and earth in the entire medicine pool. This was something he had never encountered or thought of before. In the past, there were also pharmacists who were awarded and came to the medicine pool to practice for 10 days. But no one could absorb it so vigorously. How powerful must one be to almost completely absorb the essence of heaven and earth in the medicine pool in just 10 days? Yang Xiaoshan stood up and looked at Li Wen. He was also very embarrassed and said, "Master Li, I didn't expect the medicine pool to be so weak." Li Wen almost fainted. The essence of heaven and earth in this medicine pool was accumulated over hundreds of years. It was still not strong enough to absorb it. He looked at Yang Xiaoshan's small body. With this small body, he could almost completely absorb the medicine pool in just 10 days. "Master Li, how about this? I have 100 portions of top-grade foundation building spirit liquid." Yang Xiaoshan thought about it and took out 100 portions of top-grade foundation building spirit liquid. "I'm giving it to the main hall. It can be considered as his compensation." Li Wen looked at Yang Xiaoshan's 100 portions of top-grade foundation building spirit liquid and was stunned. In the end, he could only bitterly accept the 100 portions of top-grade foundation building spirit liquid from Yang Xiaoshan. In fact, he also knew that Yang Xiaoshan could not be blamed for this. After all, this was a reward from the pharmacist competition, and Yang Xiaoshan was allowed to practice in the medicine pool for 10 days. Yang Xiaoshan practiced for 10 days as he was told. Afterwards, Li Wen cordially invited Yang Xiaoshan to stay in the main hall for a few more days and give some pointers to the pharmacists in the main hall. He laughed and said that the pharmacists in the main hall admired Yang Xiaoshan very much. Seeing Li Wen's cordial invitation, Yang Xiaoshan stayed. However, at night, when Yang Xiaoshan was practicing swordsmanship in the courtyard of the main hall, Luo King came in with a serious face and reported the matter of Xingyu City. "What? My sister awakened the 14th level martial spirit." Yang Xiaoshan was surprised, but when he heard that Yang Linga was assassinated, his face sank. "Has the murderer been caught?" "The murderer has been caught," Luo King said. Chapter 100. It was you who killed my son? Upon hearing that the murderer had been caught, Yang Xiaoshan said in a deep voice, "Did you find out who sent the other party?" Liu Kun and the other 5 interrogated him. Luo King said, "He was sent by He Kings from Xiandao Academy." Xiandao Academy, He Kings? Yang Xiaoshan's heart sank. He didn't expect that this matter would also involve Xiandao Academy. "Yes, Xiandao Academy," Luo King said. "This He Kings is an inner courtyard student of Xiandao Academy. He is very talented, especially in alchemy. He can be said to be the best of the younger generation of Xiandao Academy. He is now one of the 3 most dazzling genius disciples of Xiandao Academy. Also, he is a royal disciple of Wuding Kingdom, the nephew of the King of Wuding Kingdom." Hearing what Luo King said, Yang Xiaoshan frowned. "Nephew of the King of Wuding Kingdom? There are 46 kingdoms under the Xiandao Empire. Wuding Kingdom is the strongest among the 46 kingdoms, ranking first among the 46 kingdoms. The second is the Ancient Sword Kingdom. Did you find out why the other party wanted to assassinate my sister?" Yang Xiaoshan asked. He and He Kings had no grudges. Today was the first time he heard of his name. I asked, and the murderer said that He King's real intention was not to kill Linga, but to capture Linga and then ask you to hand over the storm refining method. Luo King said. Yang Xiaoshan frowned. "Sir, how do you deal with the murderer?" Luo King asked. "Kill him," Yang Xiaoshan said coldly, and then said, "Also, let Liu Kun and others take my parents and Linga to Shenzhen City." Luo King agreed. "Oh, sir, there is one more thing." Luo King suddenly thought of something and said, "The news just came from Shenzhen Academy that Xiandao Academy will advance the enrollment next year. The time will be set at the end of this year." Luo King's words surprised Yang Xiaoshan. Ahead of time. Xiandao Academy's enrollment is advanced. This is a major news. The end of this year? That means half a year in advance. Why? Yang Xiaoshan asked. "Not sure." Luo King said. Xiandao Academy didn't say it clearly, but asked the kingdoms to hold the academy competition in 3 months. The top 10 from each country will go to Xiandao Academy for the freshman assessment. 3 months later, the news was very sudden. After a while, Luo King left. Yang Xiaoshan stood in the yard, thinking about He King's and Xiandao Academy's enrollment. He King's. His eyes were cold. If anyone dared to touch his family, no matter which royal family they were, he would repay them 100-fold. The next day, after dawn, Yang Xiaoshan came to say goodbye to Li Wen. Young friend Yang, are you going back to Shenzhen City? Li Wen was stunned. Yang Xiaoshan hummed and said, Xiandao Academy is enrolling students in advance. The academy competition will be in 3 months. I want to go back to Shenzhen City and make preparations early. Li Wen nodded. He had just learned that Xiandao Academy was going to enroll students in advance. It was very sudden. However, from what Yang Xiaoshan said, Li Wen was surprised to hear that he was going to participate in this academy competition. Young friend Yang, are you going to participate in this academy competition? In each academy competition in each country, usually only those at the Martial King realm sign up to participate. At the very least, it was the 10th level of the innate realm. But Yang Xiaoshan, although his medicine refining skills were high, it seemed that his own strength was not strong. It had been less than a year since Yang Xiaoshan's martial soul awakened. Even if he continued to practice, Li Wen did not think that Yang Xiaoshan had a chance to be among the top 10 in the Shenhe kingdom. Yang Xiaoshan nodded. I want to try. Even if he did not practice in the medicine pool, with his previous strength, he could have completely won the first place in the Shenhe kingdom. With his current strength, even 10 Liaokans would not be his opponent, let alone Wu Crossing and others. Li Wen heard this, smiled, and did not persuade Yang Xiaoshan anymore. Then he talked about Yang Linger, and smiled to Yang Xiaoshan. Congratulations, Yang Xiaoyao. My sister's awakening of the 14th level martial soul has shocked the country and abroad, and I'm afraid that even the empire will be shocked by that time. The news that Yang Linger awakened the 14th level martial soul has spread like a hurricane, and the whole country of Shenhe Kingdom is shocked. It is conceivable that the Shenlong Empire will soon know the news, and by then, the major forces and major powers of the empire will probably flock to it. Super martial spirits cannot alarm the empire, but a level 14 supreme martial spirit will definitely alarm the major superpowers in the empire. Li Wen looked at Yang Xiaoshan in front of him, and his heart was filled with emotion. Yang Xiaoshan was already a genius known throughout the country, but now his sister is even more evil. Thank you, Master Li. Yang Xiaoshan clasped his fists and smiled. We'll take our leave first. Then he led Wookie and Luo King to leave the main hall of the pharmacist hall. He was so anxious to return to Shenzhen City, mainly because his sister Yang Linger had awakened a level 14 martial spirit. As Li Wen said, when the major superpowers in the empire are alarmed, Shenzhen City will definitely be in turmoil. He has to stay with his family. Seeing Yang Xiaoshan leave, all the pharmacists in the main hall of the pharmacist hall saw him off with tears. Li Wen sent Yang Xiaoshan out of Shenzhen City. He looked at Yang Xiaoshan's leaving figure and couldn't help but sigh. His sister, Yang Xiaoshan, Wookie, and Luo King walked along the mountain road, and the sky gradually darkened. Just when Yang Xiaoshan and his 2 companions were passing by a certain barren mountain, suddenly, countless sharp arrows were shot out. The arrowheads of these sharp arrows were all shiny black, and they were obviously stained with poison. Young master, be careful. Luo King saw it, and waved his broadsword, rolling up a gust of sword wind, to block the sharp arrows. Wookie gently waved his big wooden stick, and all the sharp arrows shot back along the same path. Suddenly, there was a scream in the darkness. Then, it became quiet. On the barren mountain not far away, groups of Blood Knife Gang members emerged from the darkness. There were so many people, as many as 2 or 3,000. Yang Xiaoshan was surprised to see that the Blood Knife Gang had dispatched 2 or 3,000 people. It seemed that the Blood Knife Gang had come out in full force to kill him. At this time, the Blood Knife Gang members made way, and the burly Blood Knife Gang leader came out with a broadsword. He stood on the top of the mountain and looked down at Yang Xiaoshan. God Yang? Obviously, he had already investigated Yang Xiaoshan's identity. However, even if he knew Yang Xiaoshen's identity, he still had to take action. "You are the one who killed my son?" The leader of the Blood Knife Gang held up his sword, his eyes cold. "I guess so," Yang Xiaoshen said calmly. "I guess so?" The leader of the Blood Knife Gang chuckled, suddenly swung his sword, and roared like thunder, "Kill." Suddenly, more than 2,000 members of the Blood Knife Gang jumped down from the mountain and chopped at Yang Xiaoshen and the other two with their swords. More than 2,000 members of the Blood Knife Gang were so dense that they were like ants. Looking at the members of the Blood Knife Gang, Luo King immediately raised his sword and slashed with it. Dozens of sword ki instantly chopped off a group of Blood Knife Gang members. Luo King rushed into the Blood Knife Gang, but soon he was drowned by the densely packed Blood Knife Gang members. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.